My lovely, lovely, lovely imps, how are you doing today? Ether, Uncle Gumbald, Somniostatic, Soul Gracchus, Punk Corpse, Aska, Louis Boy, Chronic Cine, Brina, Rapti, Louis Boy, wait, I already said Louis Boy, 6 Foot Slug, Pickle and Croissant, Carbon Coal, Lotta Apples, Gatefish, V, X, VYabo, Cotton D-Pad, Nuts, Ada Stardust, Scootsy, Emerald Queen, Kazama, Fell the Formless, Roomy Red, Vorbuddy, Jackalope, Somniostatic, Xerox, and from the YouTube chat, we have Discordant, Vol, Falmer, Flamingo, Valhalla Video, Senorita, blah, 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 Bree, Rhodes, the Dark Canuck, Satan's Underling, Glitzy, the Goblin, Papa Brownown, and Praxis U. Manesh, also hello. Morgan Sucks, hello. And Psychosocialism, also hello. I hope your gig was good, Psychosocialism. Also, hello, Olivia Bean and Liberium and Trickster Jackal and Fun Bun. And did I miss anybody? I don't think I missed anybody today. I literally called out every single chatter's name. Welcome to the stream. And if you are here, please consider slapping the like button on YouTube. Just so you're aware, the earliest likes get us so much more attention. The sooner we hit the maximum amount of likes, the more viewers that come in. And if you guys will remember, last stream that I did, which was earlier this week, we had over 500 people peak. And that was a, off the cuff, impromptu, no announcement stream. So, you know, the liking is free and it helps the channel like a ton. So, you know, thank you. Please press like and stuff. It's really cool. So I've had a busy week this week. I've been up to a lot of different things. And I've also been preparing a lot for this stream that we're going to be doing today. The title is, you know, pretty self-evident. Yeah, my hair is getting quite a bit longer. That's true. I'm trying to grow it back out. I want my hair to be long again. It's cold weather. I want long hair again, you know? Plus you get to hear Mama with a reverb for a few seconds. Wait, reverb? Was there a reverb? Oh, you mean when you click through to press like on YouTube? Yeah, I wish it was fixable, but YouTube doesn't let us. So we have to work with what we have. We have to work within the frameworks of what we have. My hair is so long that it's actually kind of annoying me today. I don't have the mug today, Rapti. They are being washed. But thank you. I will show it off on stream. Don't you worry. It's not clean yet. Will I dye my hair red again? Almost assuredly. I really want to color my hair again soon. So we're gonna talk about, today we're gonna talk about the topic of trans genocide. It has been, as I'm sure many of you know, been going around in the discourse. I reviewed a conversation about it on Monday, though that will not be the subject of today. Today, I am only going to be focusing on the topic itself. So don't expect any sort of like drama stuff. Yo, Canute, I hope you have a great birthday. But yeah, don't expect a whole lot of drama stuff from today's stream. That's not really what we're gonna be focusing on today. What I'm gonna be trying to do today is to lay out the most concise and convincing and facts and logic-based argument that there is currently an ongoing trans genocide in the United States. And we're not gonna talk about that right away. As you know, we always warm up. I'm not quite ready. I gotta get my voice warmed up and all that. Well, there might be blood later, I don't know, but at least not in the first portion. So, yeah. Yeah, so it's gonna be a bit heavy. It's gonna be a lot of topics, but don't worry, it's for a good reason. We have to be aware of, things that are going on. We have to keep aware on major issues like this. And there's a lot I'm gonna talk about today. Oh, I didn't see that, Killjoy. Oh God, we're gonna have so much to go over. This segment is gonna be really dense. If you guys wanna see, I have 2 full research documents. Just a real quick preview of what we're gonna be looking at. I have 2 full research documents that I've put together on this. That's just one of them. And that only represents my outline for what I did today, not what I actually read in preparation for this. So, we're going to be talking about this pretty extensively, and hopefully, this is gonna be one of those times where I am going to pester everyone to share the video once the video comes out. The video should be out tomorrow, and then I would like to get this video out in front of as many people as possible because I think it's really, really, really important, okay? Yeah, so, can anyone fill me in on what's happening? Well, right now there's nothing happening. I'm just warming up my voice and talking with my chat, but in about 30 minutes to 40 minutes, we will be talking about a number of news. We're gonna talk about news, we're gonna talk about history, we're gonna talk about definitions. This is going to be a all-in-one. This is gonna be the video you can send to people who aren't quite convinced that there's an ongoing trans genocide, even though there is. And I will make that case pretty solidly for you all today. That is the aim. That is the goal of today. Like I said, there's been some drama and blah, blah, blah. That's not what we're talking about now. Maybe another time, but not today. Also, how many can really be convinced there isn't a genocide? As it turns out, a lot of people. Well, see, there's a lot of people who don't want to believe there's a genocide because that's a horrible thing to have to acknowledge, and it makes them feel bad, which obviously everyone should feel bad that there is genocide going on in our world. We have to stop it. I am somebody who takes the sort of anti-fascist adage of never forget what happened in the Holocaust, never forget what has happened in these genocides. I take that very, very seriously. And we're gonna go into full about all of this, of course. But before we do that, you all wanna see a cute picture of me and Fawn? All right, if you wanna see a cute picture of me and Fawn, post a emoji in chat. Any emoji, go ahead, post an emoji in chat if you wanna see a cute picture of me and Fawn. Look at all that. Look at all these emotes. Look at that. Wow. Wow. Okay, ready? Here you go. Look at this picture. Look at this picture. Here's us. I was, or sorry, never again, sorry, gay fish. You know what I mean. That's why this is not the section. So this was, I went out and hung out with a friend who is present in this chat. Some of you may know Rapti. Rapti and I have been friends for a while. We went and met up with Rapti, and we had a really good time. We went on a little hike out to a pond, and we had a really sweet time. I got a lot of exercise. It was great. I had a fantastic time. The weather was beautiful. The area was beautiful. It was a really wonderful day. We got some cheeseburgers at a nice restaurant. It was really great. Yeah, we had a really good time. And oh, we saw a bunch of animals too. We saw a snake out in the wild. We saw a lizard out in the wild. It was awesome. It was really good. We had a really, really good time. We were out basically all day yesterday, and it was fucking awesome. And then I slept really well last night. The rain has really cleared up the air quality. Yes, it has. We have finally gotten a break from the endless poisonous smoke outside. Thank God. I've been using that opportunity to go outside a whole bunch, which is awesome. But yeah, it was really nice. Yeah. What did the snake look like? It was like black with yellow stripes on it. Yellow stripes. Describe the snake? Yeah, it was like a little, very slinky snake, like very whippy, and it had yellow stripes running down it. So I think it was like, I don't know, I think it's like, I don't actually know what type of snake that is. We also saw a bird that I wasn't able to identify yet. It was really cute. It was living in the little lake that we were there, which was really, really cute. Could be a garter snake. I think king snakes are like the ones that are like banded, but it's like, yeah, it looks like it had like little long lines on it. Garden or garter snake. That's what I thought. It looked like garter snakes, but to be fair, I haven't really seen a whole lot of snakes on this coast yet, so I don't know which ones are which. Over on the, I know on the East Coast what snakes look like what different types of snakes are, but yeah. Take advantage of all local green space, especially when you have good air quality. Air quality is usually at least marginalized better within green spaces, though it doesn't cut particulate matter hugely. Yeah, okay, just so we're clear, when I say that we couldn't go outside, the air quality was literally the worst in the world. It was so bad that when you went outside, it would burn your nose, burn your chest, and you would start feeling sick very quickly. It was really bad. Like really bad. So even going outside into wooded areas was not like viable for a while, unfortunately. So yeah. The worst of it, the worst we got was 253 AQI, I believe. Yes, I'm not kidding you. I took a picture, but it doesn't really show very well in a picture because even though, like, if I was to show you the picture that I took of it, it would look like it's just a foggy day, but it was not a foggy day. It was early afternoon, and it looked like a foggy morning because it was so blocked out. And there were, like, it was absurd. It's terrible. Anyway. Let's say, hypothetically, Peter Piper pecked a peck of pickled peppers. A peck of pickled peppers. Pipper Piper picked. If Peter Piper pecked a peck of pickled peppers, where's the peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked? I tried. Didn't really work that well. So that was a cool thing. Going out and about and not having deathly air. I also have been, as you guys know, I went and had a conversation with President Sunday recently. Some of you may be familiar with President Sunday. He's like a video essayist channel who has gotten into streaming more recently. President Sunday and I have a checkered past, but I can officially announce that we have sat down and made peace. The hatchet has been buried. Formally and informally. It was, which is great to hear because you know what? Character growth and peacemaking is a good thing. Also, I have to say I'm pretty impressed with a couple of Sunday has gone to war with DGG. Godspeed to him. Well, yeah, Godspeed to him indeed. I am not in that position, but you know, best of luck to him. We actually sat down and talked about some of our former conflicts and some of our issues. And honestly, it was a very inspiring thing. It's not often that I get to sit down and like work out issues with somebody that I had issues with in the past. So, so that was great. Yeah. Yep. Oh, Eddie Spencer, who did Demon Mama talk to? President Sunday. I talked to him on stream, and then we also had a number of conversations off stream. So, also, Somniostatic, I did read your document, and I have been making a lot of considerations, and yeah. I did, yes. I did see bits of that Prosy Rosie. I didn't watch the whole thing. Who Bones says, I think the unwillingness of liberals to acknowledge the trans genocide crisis in the United States can be partially attributed to apathy. Realizing that mounting and growing conservative support for policy that results in trans death is occurring means that more serious action has to be taken than just signing petitions or retweeting posts. Yes, I largely agree, Bones. We have a lot of things to talk about. We're going to get very deep into that today. Don't you worry. We are really going to be, we are really going to get into that. I don't know. Yeah, I'd be open to that, Natalie Marie, but no commitments yet. I can't make any commitments. I do not know how long my segment's going to go. I don't know what type of conversation is going to yield or is going to result from the segment that I'm about to do in just a little bit, but I am certainly open to it. Yeah. Boy, and also we also have to talk about today. We have to talk about the Twitter shit. Oh, and we have to talk about what happened with Nancy Pelosi and Nancy Pelosi's husband. Isn't that absurd? We got to talk about that. We really got to talk about that. All right. So, boy, oh boy, we have a lot to do. Louis Boy says, this week my university had a panel with a leftist, a conservative, and a centrist debating about the spread of lefty politics in South America. It was such a disaster for the conservative. It was glorious. That's awesome. I love to hear that. Nothing makes me more happy than hearing conservatives get the fuck blown out of them. Especially these days. We need more people to be blowing out conservatives in public space as much as possible. If you are capable, if you can become capable, learn how to blow the fuck out of a conservative in the most public space imaginable, in the most effective manner that you possibly can. They should be mocked. They should be driven into a shameful silence as they are embarrassed about their absolutely cringe-worthy worldviews. Pelosi's husband was attacked. Yes, we will talk about that. Actually, you know what? We can talk about that real quick. You guys want to talk about what just happened? It is kind of relevant to what we're talking about. So for those of y'all who don't know, today, this morning, there was an assassination attempt on Nancy Pelosi. Now it failed in that the guy did not get Nancy Pelosi, but he did injure severely Nancy Pelosi's husband. And there's quite a lot actually immediately made public about this individual. As it turns out, this individual is a former Green Party member who swung into QAnon conspiracy, who the blog is now gone, but lots of people archived the blog. You can actually go see his blog. He has a blog in which he rants about the Jews, about trans people, about grooming children, all this sorts of stuff, the stuff you'd expect. And he also was he spoke very frequently about a whole bunch of anti-SJW media channels. So he talked about like Marvel movies and Star Wars and stuff like that, from like the, oh, they're making it political, that kind of shit. He was talking about that all the time on his blog. And also, it turns out he was like a big Jimmy Dore fan, which is like, holy shit. And also apparently Jimmy Dore is like melting down over it on Twitter. But yeah, so this guy, he took a hammer and he broke into the Pelosi's house. Nancy Pelosi was not in her house at the time, but Nancy Pelosi's husband was. And he managed to contact the authorities before getting bludgeoned with the hammer. He is in stable condition now, but he was rushed to surgery for skull fractures earlier this morning. And yeah, he broke into the house screaming, "Where's Nancy? Where's Nancy?" It was yeah, it's a very I don't know. It kind of speaks to the state of politics in America right now, right? That like the right wing of America is, it's like, I mean, how many? We got January 6th. We got the attempted kidnapping of Governor Whitner in Michigan. We've had we now have this assassination attempt against Nancy Pelosi. All of these are very clearly motivated by right-wing politics and right-wing talking heads. It is, wow. Oh yeah, here's Jimmy Dore freaking out about it. He's pulling a bit of an Alex Jones here, you see. I confess, right after I blew up Nord Stream pipeline, I engineered an attack on Pelosi's husband. Yes, I'm very powerful. I'm surprised the establishment doesn't try being nicer to me, since I'm controlling most things from my garage. Which is, this has gotta be the worst response you can possibly have to one of your fans going and committing a attempted assassination and successful severe injuring of an American Democratic politician. Yeah, we're well into the fascist timeline, where, you know, dissenting politicians from the right wing are regularly being targeted for violence. I mean, oh my God, I've been bookmarking just shit that I've been talking about, or just shit that I've been seeing on here about the way that on social media, if you go and you look at the posts of like right-wing rallies to go to school board meetings, which is a big thing that like is very popular along the right wing right now. We've seen this in a couple of the content that I've covered on my show. Right-wingers right now, a lot of the focus is put on going in and showing up at school board meetings. And if you go and you look at the comments of these, there are tons and tons of comments specifically advocating that people bring weapons to school board meetings. Bring guns, bring knives, bring bear mace. It is a wild level of violent political motivation from the right. It is unbelievable. But also very believable, because a lot of us have been calling this out for a long time. Yeah, it's a pathetic way to shout at a captive audience not equipped for their vileness. Yeah, keep in mind that school board meetings are like everyday fucking minimum wage ass teachers just trying to do their job and get through and do the stuff that they have to do as a part of the rules. And of course they are public because it was always understood that it would be done in good faith. Not that there would be like enraged mobs of conspiracy drunk right-wingers barging in and brandishing weapons in the face of random teachers. Like, it's fucking terrible. Yeah, it's fucked up. Are they going to shoot teachers and other parents with those weapons? Well, that's not what they say. They say they're bringing the weapons to protect themselves from Antifa. But like, Antifa isn't going to, first of all, Antifa, we all know that's the giant boogeyman. But secondly, Antifa isn't showing up at 6 a.m. to a school board meeting. At least not yet. Maybe they will if this keeps happening. Yeah, exactly. As Kazama says, just imagine an armband wearing Nazi spraying bear mace on Mrs. Thomas from 5th period English. That's literally what people are having to deal with right now. They're having to deal with people like Tucker Carlson and Matt Walsh telling them the way to do political action is to go mob your local school board so that you can intimidate them out of accepting trans people. It is absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. And yeah, I don't know. The topic of today is going to be what the hell is the current state of affairs in this damn country? Oh boy. Well, we all know that, you know, the right wing in America does not exactly have the best history of engaging healthily with teachers. They tend to treat teachers as like, I don't know, satanic influence, unironically, despite the fact that they rely on teachers 100% to keep their way of life going. That teachers are like conservatives, the super hyper capitalist motherfuckers who believe in, you know, everybody's got a bootstrap and you got to get a job and all that. How the hell are you supposed to have a job if you don't have a place to put your kids? You realize that public schooling is like partially a response to the need for childcare in like a society that is constantly of workers, a society of people who have to work, and yet they hate them. They act like teachers are the spawn of Satan, and then they pretend that they want to do homeschooling, but none of them will homeschool. None of them will actually homeschool their kids. And when they do, it's pathetic. Teachers are seen as scary communists by default, even in Britain. Yeah, it's anti-intellectualism. It's a huge part of every single right-wing movement. Praised BB says, I teach mostly non-white students online for a private company, and it's obvious that parents are growing very concerned and are becoming very drawn to companies like the one I work for. Yeah, there's a ton of reasons for that. I have very, very many things to say about generally against homeschool as a former homeschooler. Yes, homeschool has issues. It is not a one-stop solution, but we're not gonna get into that right now. That is absolutely, I'm not here to talk about homeschooling today. I'm just talking about what the conservatives claim, what they advocate for, and both the hypocrisy that is present in that and the inanity, the incoherence of what they're pushing for. Ever notice how every genocide or oppressive system has a pseudoscience movement behind it? Yes, and that's because the reason for that is because to convince people, you need to sound like you're delivering the truth. And the best way to sound like you're delivering the truth without actually delivering the truth is to come up with a pseudoscience, like, I don't know, you know, skull measuring or the we could always tell anti-trans nonsense. Yeah, it's literally the measurehead thing. We're gonna talk about some of that as this stream goes on. Oh, it's a lot. But yeah, to sort of wrap up the little quick topic of talking about the Nancy Pelosi attempted assassination, successful assault against Paul Pelosi. The blog of this guy, I went and looked at it for myself. This guy's blog was like talking about the Great Reset, QAnon, Pizzagate, all this shit. It's off the rails. Hey, welcome. Welcome to the chat, Beyond Safe Words. Happy to have you. By the way, the private company I work for also has a don't say gay rule, so I have to stay closeted. That is terrible. I'm really sorry to hear that. Oh my God. Yeah, her husband was attacked with a hammer. Yes, he was injured pretty severely, as I understand. He wasn't, last I checked on the update, he was out of surgery and in stable condition, but still, that's fucking crazy. Suspect in custody or dead? Actually, I think he's arrested. I think he was arrested by police. They arrived pretty quickly because when he first broke in, Paul Pelosi, being the husband of a politician, you know, knew to contact support immediately. Yeah, he was arrested. Yeah, so, yep. By the way, if you are here, we currently only have 194 likes on the video, but we have 300 amazing imps watching right now. So if you would, please press like on YouTube. Unironically, the more likes we get early on in the stream, it's almost 1-to-1. For each like we get, a new viewer comes in. Unironically, it is amazing. So if you're willing to, please, there's 100 of you, I would love to have your likes. Just press that like button real quick and it will help us get more people in here. This is going to be a really informative and well-prepared stream. Yeah. Do you think this will be condemned as a Fed action? That seems to be the cycle of things. What, you mean like by right-wingers? No, I don't think so. I don't know. I'm sure some of them will claim that. They always claim that. Some of them will say he was a secret Antifa. Some of them will say he was actually a radical Democrat because he voted for the Green Party, even though the Green Party isn't the Democrat Party, and the Green Party has a lot of conservative factions. Goodness. Hey, thank you very much, Emerald Queen, for the $5. Is food banks is better than gun-toting militias? Well, that would be great. Do you want to see the police statement? Yeah, we can watch the police statement real quick. Let's watch it. There we go. Here's the police statement.
From San Francisco police regarding the attack that happened at the Pelosi home.
We'll be providing an update on the incident at Speaker Nancy Pelosi's office this morning. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, Chief William Scott and District Attorney Brooke Jenkins.
Okay. Hey, Rob, can we close? Okay. Of Speaker Nancy Pelosi regarding an A priority well-being check. When the officer.
Thank you very much, HK, for the incredibly generous 10 pounds. Thank you very much.
Arrived on scene, they encountered an adult male and Mr. Pelosi's husband, Paul. Our officers observed Mr. Pelosi and the suspect both holding a hammer. The suspect pulled the hammer away from Mr. Pelosi and violently assaulted him with it. Our officers immediately tackled the suspect, disarmed him, took him into custody, requested emergency backup, and rendered medical aid. The suspect has been identified as 42-year-old David DePepe. Mr. Pelosi and Mr. DePepe were transported to a local hospital for treatment. This is an active investigation currently being led by the San Francisco Police Department Special Investigations Division. We are working closely with our partners from the FBI, the U.S. Attorney's Office, the U.S. Capitol Police, and our district attorney here in San Francisco County, DA Brooke Jenkins, and her team. The motive for this attack is still being determined. Mr. DePepe will be booked at the San Francisco County Jail on the following charges: attempted homicide, assault with a deadly weapon, elder abuse, burglary, and several other additional felonies. Before I go any further, I'd like to thank the responding officers for their swift action this morning. Those San Francisco police officers are Officer.
So there we go. There's the statement of the official statement. Obviously still under investigation, but look, I'm not a judge. I'm not going to be convicting this guy or anything like that. But if you go and you look at this guy's blog, it's pretty it's pretty clear the reasons that this guy acted. And and by the way, it's just another in the enormous pile of right-wing violent extremism that's going on in this country right now. Right now, the right wing of America is largely convinced that the election was stolen, that democracy is no longer functioning in any way, shape, or form, and that it is essentially open game to attack Democrat politicians specifically. I mean, let's not forget, January 6th just happened. It hasn't been very long since January 6th happened, in which an enormous horde of Trump supporters burst in with the express purpose of harming or capturing members of Congress, specifically to stop the electoral process. It's the stab in the back myth for America? Yes, it is. Absolutely it is. Ducky Lucy Hayes says the right wing of America directly affects the right wing government of Poland. The Polish government officially supported Trump in the race and also in its media said there's a high chance that the election was stolen. Yeah, the right wing of America influences the right wing worldwide. It's why it's especially important that we take the fight against the right wing in America extremely, extremely serious. Extremely serious. Yes, remember that Lauren Boebert was live tweeting Pelosi's movements on January 6th, so this isn't the first attempt on Pelosi's life. No, Pelosi is seen as a representative because she is. She's the Speaker of the House. She's a veteran Democrat politician. And by the way, none of this is me like defending the actions of Pelosi. I think some of the decisions that Nancy Pelosi has made are horrible decisions. But but that doesn't justify an assassination attempt. And it certainly doesn't mean that we can't point out how concerning it is that the right wing thinks that that the right wing is at the point where they believe making attempts on the life of Democrat politicians who are, interestingly, the ones that are most popularly talked about on their favorite TV shows, that they think that's the right path. What genocide denial are we destroying? We are destroying the denial of a trans genocide in the United States. And we're gonna be doing that here in just a minute. I wanted to give us just a little teensy bit longer before we start talking about that. But we will be talking about that very, very shortly. Yes, with facts and logic. I have a lot prepared. So yeah. Beyond Safer says, so in the class I'm currently TAing for, I'm studying Canada, an expert gave a presentation on issues related to immigration activism. He said there's now a concerted push to allow Americans, especially queer and trans Americans, to declare asylum in Canada. So even activists in Canada are recognizing the threat of rising fascism in the US. Well, we're gonna put this all in one place today. So, Minesh says, in Weimar, Erzberger was constantly lambasted by the right-wing media as a traitor that signed the armistice, and he was assassinated in 1921. Yes, this is a tactic as old as time. The demagogues, the talking heads paint a target on somebody, and the mob descends. Yes. Oh boy. We have, and then after all of this, of course, I like I said before, we're definitely going to talk about the Twitter thing. Maybe that'll be our little like pressure release afterwards. Yeah. Will there be a call-in thing anytime soon? I might do one soon. It depends. Probably once I get back. I am planning to do a lot of things once I get back from my travel. Oh, that's complicated, Louis boy. I wouldn't be able to answer that. That's really difficult. Oh yeah, I should make this announcement. I've been making this announcement every single stream. I know. But I will be gone for the first week of November. So don't expect any streams for the first week of November. I'm going to be traveling. I will be trying to do a nice big gaming fun stream before then. We will see if it comes together. I'm actually quite busy and been feeling a little stressed, but I'll be traveling for about a week. You know, follow my social media if you want to see pictures and updates from my travel. I will probably be talking about politics a lot on my social media, but I won't be doing any streams. So this is the last one. No. I aim to do at least one stream. Oh, shut the fuck up, Nuts. I spoil you all. It's not entirely, I mean, yes, it will be a vacation functionally. Will I be eating food? Will I be swimming? I don't think I'll be swimming. It'll probably be too cold. But yeah. Yeah. So. Yep. So, will I catch a water ham? What's a water ham? What the hell's what's a water ham? What the fuck is a water ham? Mama going out on vacation? Yeah, I'm traveling back to my home region, which I have not been back to for almost a decade. It has been almost a decade since I've been back home. So this is going to be an interesting journey for me. I'm sure it will be very emotional in a lot of ways because it's been so long. I don't know if I'm even going to see anybody I really know besides my family and closest friends. But hey, I'm going to go visit a lot of places that I used to go around, and yeah, it should be pretty interesting. So yeah, we'll take a look. You know, I'm gonna just keep an eye on my social media, and I'm gonna see what I can do. Have a fun time, take some pictures, visit some places, think about things. Yeah. So yeah, the Easterling. That's true. Favorite amputee fictional character? Well, there's quite a few. I mean, I really like Sekiro I like Wolf from Sekiro. Oh, Melania is awesome, yeah. But also Millicent, Melania's daughter. Hey, thank you very much, Electo. I got paid tonight. Here's money, Wicked. Deeply appreciate that. Oh, Guts? Oh yeah, Guts is one of them too, but I haven't read that, so. All right, everybody. One more time, okay? One more time. We have 306 viewers. We have only 276 likes. If we could get one last little push of likes, then I will jump into the main course of today. What we are going to be talking about, the main issue, laying out a case for the existence of an ongoing trans genocide in the United States of America. Fucking read Berserk already? I would, but Berserk is expensive, okay? And I am busy. You know that every single time I do a reading or a gaming, it's time away from stream, which means you all gotta cope a little bit because it takes me time to think about things to turn them into entertaining streaming topics, okay? All right? I'm excited. I like Berserk. I like a lot of the stuff. I've seen and read some of Berserk. I've just never read the whole thing. What do you think about Green parties? Most of them are pathetic, unfortunately. Anyway, hey, Galay, that's good to hear. Okay, everybody. All right. All right, I'm gonna try and get into the zone of focus here because it's pretty important. This stuff is pretty important to me. So, all right. Yes, absolutely, Hellhound. Mr. Krabs with the $5 DM, I saw the funniest thing that happened on Twitter, which made Stone Toss look like a baby bitch. You'll have to send that to me in the future because we are about to talk about the main subject of today. But thank you very much for that donation. Deeply appreciate it. All right. My lovely, lovely imps. Today, I am going to be laying out a case for the existence of a trans genocide, an ongoing and active trans genocide in the United States of America. I've done a lot of research for this. I've been thinking about it for a very long time. As you all know, I talk about this subject on my stream all the time, but I don't really frequently lay out my case all in one place. So this is being all streamed with the goal of equipping you with current information as of the streaming of this in, late October of 2022, with the up-to-date knowledge as to why it is absolutely essential that we recognize that there is an ongoing trans genocide in the United States. Now, this is a very, very heavy topic. We're going to be talking about a lot of dark issues, and I'm going to be pulling from a lot of sources. I have attempted to source all of my claims to the best of my ability, and also my goal here is to pull from sources that are easily accessible, publicly recognized, and not niche, essentially. All of my sources that I'm pulling from here are widely recognized sources, are sources that are not particularly controversial with regard to their validity. Another thing I want to say as a little bit of a preamble in this segment is I am not going to be spending much or any time talking about the value of medical treatment for trans people. I will probably reference this. However, I am sort of taking it as understood that if you're watching this video, you agree that HRT and medical health care is good for trans people. If you don't believe that, that is a different discussion. You are wrong if you believe to the opposite. If you don't believe that trans health care is important to the well-being of trans people, despite the fact that this has been broadly researched for decades, it is well known that transition, HRT, and societal support greatly increases the life outcomes and the well-being of trans people. That's a different. We're having it like you're wrong if you think those things are not good. Basically, is what I'm saying. Trans people deserve health care. Trans people need health care. It is acknowledged. It is a matter of health and wellness, okay? So that is going to be taken as an assumption in this video. There are many, many videos that if you want to watch that you can go check out about the validity of HRT and the studies behind those things, about the validity of puberty blockers, about the validity of trans and gender affirming healthcare. These exist in abundance, and there are tons of videos, tons of reports and research that's been done about it. That's not what we're here to talk about today. Apologize that I have to do a bit of a wordy introduction for this, but I just want people to. I don't want to deal with any comments of people attacking the validity of HRT because that's not what I'm talking about here. I will disregard you if that's the angle that we're going to be talking about that. Yeah. If I had to address all that, this would be way too long. So instead, what I am going to be focusing on throughout this segment is going to be the current state of anti-trans legislation in the United States, the current state of anti-trans sentiment in the United States, and I am going to be talking about specific laws. I'm going to be talking about specific actions, political actions that have been taken, and then afterwards, I am going to discuss definitions of genocide, not just a single definition, but multiple definitions. And the goal of this is to show that with very few exceptions, no matter how you slice it, what is going on in the US right now is indeed a trans genocide, and we should treat that with the utmost seriousness. I am a very, very, very firm believer that the Holocaust was a disgusting and horrible blight on the history of humanity. It was a traumatic event that has damaged the entire planet. Genocides are one of the worst crimes imaginable to the human mind. We can think of very few things that are worse than the idea of rounding up a bunch of people and harming them or killing them. We can think of essentially nothing worse than eliminating an entire group of people just because they belong to that group of people. I take this issue very, very, very seriously. And I also take the idea of never again very, very seriously. The idea that this should never occur ever again. And the more people who believe that a genocide, that a Holocaust-like event should never occur again, the better world that we live in. These types of things must be fought against with all of our force. The unbelievable atrocity of an event like the Holocaust is so great that that the entirety of humanity pays the price. Not just the people who were immediately affected, not just the countries that were involved, not just the societies next to the countries that were involved, but literally all of humanity going forward. These events harm us in unimaginable ways. We lose art, we lose science, in addition to the fact that we are losing wonderful and beautiful and amazing people. Okay? So that's the reason why this is important to me. I take these things really seriously, and I think you should as well. So before we go any further, let us talk about the sort of current state of affairs in America. And what I'm going to start with is a story that broke today. Okay, that's how recent this stuff is. Okay. Today is October 28th, 2022. And this morning, the state of Florida, using a very interesting tactic by which they bypassed the legislature of the state and instead appealed to the medical board of the state, has now passed a total ban on youth trans healthcare. This includes HRT, this includes puberty blockers, this includes surgeries. Those surgeries are incredibly rare on minors. And when I say incredibly rare, essentially never happen, only in the most extreme and necessary, medically necessary circumstances. So we're just gonna read through a real quick thread done by a reporter who was actively reporting this event this morning. Let's just pop over there real quick. Hold on, let me just bring this up, okay? So this is Aaron Reed, Aaron in the Morning. Aaron is a reporter who regularly talks about trans issues and follows these events in real time, tweeting incredibly helpful threads that are then distributed to many other forms of social media. Today was a dark day for trans youth. The Florida Board of Medicine has just voted to ban gender-affirming care for all trans teenagers. They cut the hearing early and told activists who were present to email them. I cry for Florida's trans youth. This was a sham hearing with fake experts. The leader of this hearing told activists, "Don't worry, you're not going to win," immediately before cutting the vote short. They relied on a report that was done in part by a dentist to ban gender-affirming care. Now, this is something that we've seen happen a lot in the United States, which is presenting medical opinions from non-experts. You find a dentist who is anti-trans, you say you have a doctor because a dentist is technically a doctor, and then you have the dentist present an anti-trans narrative as a medical professional, despite the fact that nearly every major medical organization and association on the planet recognizes the validity of trans healthcare, recognizes the need for trans healthcare even in minors. You can occasionally find a doctor or even a set of doctors, often who don't have a specialty in that particular type of medicine, to come forward, and that absolutely happened today. This was the moment they cut testimony early and told activists to go home. Activists, of course, erupted. Very few were allowed to speak. Only those who were in favor of banning were allowed at first. And this is, you can watch this moment. We'll watch it live. So here we go. We're going to watch this real quick. Watch this with me.
Before you can come to the podium, you'll be the last speaker for the day. And let me finish. Don't shout. You're not going to win. Let me finish. What we're going to do, we'll give you an email for the state of Florida. You send your information, and whatever information what information you send will be a part of the record.
You
know what? Okay. You know what? Let's. Okay, that's fine. Okay, Miss Patty Sullivan, you may proceed. You may proceed. That's okay.
Their blood is on your hands. That's okay, he says.
That's okay. Let's have some decency and quorum here.
Yes, let's have some decency and decorum here. Pew Review says, I was there today. All of the people they flew in, some from other countries, to pack the public comments were reading from printed scripts. Yes, I have heard that there was a pretty significant effort by the Republican Party to pack the audience with essentially basically people who supported them regardless of their jurisdiction. Now, of course, that isn't even the biggest form of political malpractice here, but what we see on display here is the Republican Party of Florida, led by Ron DeSantis, essentially hand-picking experts for their medical review board and then instructing the medical review board to ban trans care. Now, unfortunately, this gets even worse, okay? They appeared to briefly consider allowing those already on HRT and puberty blockers to continue, but at the last minute, they scrapped that. Now, this is incredibly concerning. They considered adding all trans youth to a Florida registry, but we'll take that up at another time. This is genocide. It is happening now. Now, I don't think I need to state why a trans registry, even being on the table, being considered by a medical review board in the United States of America, is a concerning thing. I think that is even the fact that it was brought up in this conversation is a screaming klaxon warning you that things are getting very, very bad. But what they passed today does not allow for people to be grandfathered in. So people under the age of 21 who are currently on HRT or currently on puberty blockers are now having their medical care discontinued. Now, we are, like I said, we are already in agreement. I should hope, if you've gotten this far in the video, we are already on agreement that HRT is very valuable to trans people. But I want you to try and put yourself into the shoes of a teenager who is now, by state order, going to be forcibly detransitioned. They are going to be forced to go through a puberty which causes them extreme mental duress after they already believed that they were going to be free of that. This is an absolute horrifying atrocity that is literally just transpired today. And this is in law in Florida right now. And you'll notice, of course, how conveniently this sidestepped the legislature. There was no democracy involved in this whatsoever. This was done by taking advantage of medical institution, by taking advantage of executive power over the ability to determine medical institution. And it has now enacted a law that is openly attempting to harm young trans folks specifically. Specifically trying to make it impossible for young trans people to get medically necessary health care, and in addition is banning banning those people from continuing their health care, even though a doctor has already weighed in that it's medically necessary. If somebody is currently on puberty blockers or HRT, they've already met with a doctor. They have already had a doctor determine that this is a medical need. And the state has said, we don't care. This is, in our opinion, a moral wrong. This is a violation of norms, and you are no longer allowed to do this. And of course, this means that doctors who continue to do what is medically correct are going to be targeted and prosecuted. The ban is going up for a vote on November 4th. It's not law yet. Well, we will. I don't know about that specific thing. I don't know how far this has to go before it directly affects people. But what we do know is from precedent that these statements going into play already makes doctors stop, because doctors can't. I mean, no doctor can risk a fucking felony. No doctor can risk a severe violation of medical ethics. It will ruin them. So they just stop serving trans patients. Even before a law goes into full effect, and we're gonna talk about another example here in just a second, this already starts to negatively affect trans people. And I promise you, don't worry, we will talk about every single level of the law being 100% 100% enforced across the state, to partial enforcement, to even just the threat. We're going to talk about all of that. Okay? Let's continue. So, this thread continues here. In the coming weeks, we will need to begin supporting refugees from Florida. If you are in Florida and you need a place to flee, this is my anti-trans legislative risk map. The dark blue-green states are the best. California, Massachusetts, and Connecticut have passed explicit refugee protections, which is pretty good to know. If you are in one of the states, if you are in one of these red states, California, Massachusetts, and Connecticut have passed refugee protections. If you flee there, you have the protection as a refugee. So there is nothing that those states can do to persecute you outside of the fact that they drove you from your home, okay? So keep that in mind. Those are the 3 states that have currently done that. This is the current map of trans legislation as maintained by, like I said, activist and reporter Aaron Reed. Now, I have been able to pull from a couple of different maps, which we will be looking at today. But this is the current state. Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas, Tennessee, Alabama, Florida, South Carolina, South Dakota, Montana, Idaho, Utah, and Arizona are the major areas of concern here. Okay? These are states that have many, many laws, and we're gonna go into detail on a couple of these, okay? But I just want us to lay the stage for the fact that as of right now, Florida is, via a medical board system, forcing children who have already been determined to have a medical need to transition to stop transitioning. Understood? Let's continue. So, the next thing that I want to talk about, yes. Sorry, I wanted to bring up one more thing concerning Florida real quick, and that is this statement by the Human Rights Campaign. This statement was made on August 4th of 2022. So this was a statement that was made before, long before this actual hearing happened, when the hearing was first proposed. Human Rights Campaign condemns Florida Board of Medicine for considering Governor DeSantis' politically motivated proposal to ban affirming care for transgender youth. This was 3 months ago, yes. Tomorrow, the Florida Board of Medicine will discuss to meet thoroughly debunked rule changes proposed by the Florida Department of Health that would be contrary to all medical best practices, deny gender-affirming care to Florida's transgender youth. The FDOH, an agency under the control of Governor DeSantis, so you see what I was talking about, how he's using executive authority to put these things through, that this isn't even going through the legislature as we would normally understand it, is pressuring board members to reject their best medical judgment and impose political barriers to accessing life-saving care for transgender youth and adults. The Human Rights Campaign, the nation's largest lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer civil rights organization, denounced the transparently political move that seeks to take decisions about best care practices out of the hands of medical professionals and patients. So I just want this to be clear here. This is a statement, and by the way, another statement was issued today. I just want to be clear that this was a statement that was formally released, and there was another statement that it says basically the same thing that was released today, released by one of the foremost human rights organizations, civil rights organizations on the planet, one of the most well-respected human rights organizations on the planet, and they are explicitly saying that this is a set of legal precedents that will deny life-saving care for transgender youth and adults. And we all have already agreed, like I said, hopefully, that we acknowledge that trans health care is life-saving, that it is incredibly impactful to trans people. Now, the rest of this article is incredibly useful, though it is a little bit beyond what we were discussing here. This article is very useful. I'm going to be posting it in chat right now. Here you go. If you would like to take a copy of this, I'm posting it in both of my chats. You can use this to help debunk a lot of the lies that are being put forward specifically by the Florida Board of Medicine, the Florida Board of Medicine. So in here, they go through the claims that are being made by the board, and they are debunking them one by one. Honestly, this is a very good article. Do you see what I mean? It's things like this. The agency found that puberty blockers are not approved by the FDA for treatment of gender dysphoria, are not medically efficacious, et cetera, the reality. And then they have the actual facts. They have the actual facts as cited directly from various medical organizations. This article is very helpful. Again, beyond the scope of what we're talking about, I simply wanted to establish the fact that the claims that there is severe damage to mental health and life are being recognized and repeated by some of the foremost activism organizations in the entire world, okay? Now, Florida is unfortunately not the only state that has engaged in this, not even by a close margin. Of course, there were two other particularly shocking bills that have succeeded in the United States. The first of all, the first that we've seen recently, was from Arkansas, and the second was from Alabama. Arkansas and Alabama both put into law bans on gender-affirming healthcare for anyone under the age of 21. Now, that's pretty extreme, given that you know, being an adult is usually at 18, but the push has been to criminalize it under 21, which is certainly an interesting decision. Both of these states have enacted laws that are specifically targeting transgender healthcare for minors. Again, a medically necessary process for people who are working with doctors who have medical oversight and who have parental oversight, as it turns out. This is a little citation for this. This was from May 6th of 2022. Alabama judge considers whether to block a new ban on gender-affirming care for youth. Now, this is a whole article that goes into this, but the long and short of it is a discussion specifically as to whether a federal judge is going to block it. The good news about these two laws is that as of now, both of these laws have been held at the federal level. So the law was put into place, and they have been blocked and put on hold for further litigation at the federal level. However, I want you to acknowledge that on the state level, these laws are in action. So it's really complicated. In the United States, we have a federal government and we have state governments. And the power of those governments really waxes and wanes. For example, a lot of states in the United States currently have legalized or decriminalized cannabis, and that is federally illegal. So it is actually quite common for states to disagree with the federal government on various issues. Now, sometimes this causes a major issue and the federal government intervenes. Sometimes they intervene very severely. Other times they don't intervene at all. And what we're seeing here is that we're seeing blocks go through for these, but we have no idea where they're going to go after that, and we have no idea how that's going to affect the current practice of medicine. And in fact, it's very likely when you have a felony level ban that this is going to have a severe chilling effect on medicine in the area, that doctors will be unwilling to take people in and give them the HRT they need or the puberty blockers that they need, that doctors will be reluctant to specialize in trans healthcare. It essentially represents an attempt to choke out healthcare for trans people. Again, necessary healthcare. This is the current state of affairs in Alabama and Arkansas. So we have a medical board ban in Florida. We have two legislative bans in Alabama and Arkansas. And now we're going to talk about another thing, which is Texas. Now, for those of you who don't know, Texas is a fucking huge state, okay? The population of Texas is 29.5 million people, okay? So just the state of Texas alone has 29.5 million people in it. And just so that we get a little bit of historical perspective here, the population of Germany in 1933 was 65 million. So the population of Texas right now is just half of that of the entirety of Germany at the beginning of when the first camps were opened in Germany. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about the Holocaust directly during this segment, but I thought that that was a very, very, very interesting parallel to make, just so you understand the scope of people who are being affected here. Also, just out of curiosity, the population of Florida is 21.78 million. So essentially, if we are considering Florida and Texas, Alabama and Arkansas as the states that have currently made extreme attempts to ban, successful attempts to ban trans medicine, we are looking at a population greater than that of Germany at the beginning of the first opening of the camps of the Holocaust. Okay, just so we have a scope of how many people are affected by this, okay? And we're gonna do a little more math in just a little bit, but let's talk about what happened in Texas, okay? In Texas, now what happened in Texas is one of the more legally controversial attempts at a trans ban. See, because what happened in Texas is that Texas has had a lot of anti-trans bills. I actually just wanted to show you this real quick. So this was a tracker that I was able to find that was for the year of 2021. So in just 2021, this is not counting anything in 2022, Texas had 30 plus anti-LGBTQ bills go through their legislation. Now, Texas is an odd state because it's a red state, but there's also a lot of Democrats in some of the major cities. So a lot of these things in the legislation actually reach some level of pushback. And as you can see, in 2021, 30 plus anti-LGBTQ bills were defeated. That includes bills that were sports bans. That includes affirming healthcare bans. But in 2022, an interesting little thing happened, which is, let me just bring this up real quick. This is a letter from Ken Paxton, the Attorney General of Texas. I know everybody's gonna want me to talk about all the shit that Ken Paxton has been involved in, but we're not gonna talk about that here, even though it is funny that Ken Paxton literally fled from the state of Texas because he's in trouble with the law. We're not gonna talk about that right now. But Ken Paxton, the extreme Republican governor or Attorney General of Texas, issued a legal statement. AG Paxton declares so-called sex change procedures on children and prescription of puberty blockers to be child abuse under Texas law. Now, I'm not going to sit here and read all of his drivel because I'm not here for that. You can go look into that yourself. But this is a declaration that not only is a medical practice which is accepted and acknowledged as valid by every major medical institution on the planet, not only is he claiming that this is a bad thing, but specifically that it is child abuse. And that might seem like an extreme claim at first until you realize what the political motivation was for that was. The political motivation for claiming that it was child abuse was the following letter that was written by Governor Greg Abbott. You see, after Attorney General Ken Paxton wrote his letter claiming that medically necessary health care for trans kids was child abuse, Governor Greg Abbott then used his executive power to issue an order to prosecute trans parents and parents of trans kids and doctors who were prescribing puberty blockers to trans kids as participating in child abuse. And he did this by citing the legal opinion of the Attorney General. Now, like I mentioned, Texas has shot down a lot of legislation, anti-trans legislation. So the legislation the democratic process has shot down all of these bans, and so Greg Abbott found a way around this. Now, a lot of things happened as a result of this Texas law coming into place, and I wanted to cite just a small example of this. Okay, real quick, I'm gonna cite some incredible reporting that was undertaken by NPR, specifically about this bill. This is an article called "In Texas, an Unrelenting Assault on Trans Rights is Taking a Mental Toll." And I want to bring a special attention down here to a small bit here at the end, okay? Between 2020 and 2021, the Trevor Project saw a 150% increase in crisis contacts from LGBTQ youth in Texas seeking support. And also here, further going into that, an organization dedicated to suicide prevention for the LGBTQ youth, that is Trevor Project, I hope people are aware of this, that their main focus is helping to prevent suicide, which is incredibly common among trans youth because they are overwhelmed with agony and they're young and they're overwhelmed with agony and they don't see a way out. And people like Texas Governor Abbott and Ken Paxton, AG of Texas, want to make that more of a case. The Trevor Project received more than 10,800 total crisis calls, texts, and chats from LGBT youth in Texas looking for support between January 1st and August 30th of 2021. And that was before these explicit laws targeting families with trans kids and targeting doctors treating trans kids went through. This was just from the constant slew of endless trans legislation. If you look earlier in the article, for Amber Briggle, raising her 14-year-old trans son in Texas means packing lunches, coordinating rides to extracurriculars, and planning sleepovers. Usually it's just like raising any other kid in America, except for when it's a legislative year. Legislative sessions in the state, which can last up to 140 days every 2 years, can be exhausting, she told NPR. It's emotionally traumatizing, Briggle said. I've been seeing a therapist for years so I don't cry in front of my kids over things they shouldn't have to worry about. Anti-trans rhetoric in Texas has grown louder in the past few weeks. Attorney General Ken Paxton, who broke bread with Briggle's family many years back, issued an opinion that likened gender-affirming surgery to child abuse. Not just gender-affirming surgery, he also likened the prescription of puberty blockers to surgery. Once again, we all know puberty blockers are well acknowledged by the medical community as extremely low risk, completely reversible, and highly effective. Of course, there was a significant amount of controversy after it was discovered that that Greg Abbott was instructing agents of the Texas department. What's it called? The Department of Family and Protective Services. That he was instructing agents to communicate using specific clandestine lines that could not be that were not using their own cell phones, so that it wasn't on official hardware. And that was after issuing a letter in which he told explicitly, as the executive overseeing the Department of Family and Protective Services, that people should prosecute families with trans kids undergoing medical treatment and doctors who are giving medical treatment to trans people as if it was a case of child abuse. Now, of course, this has garnered legal attention and is being litigated on the federal level. But in the meantime, the state is still going forward with this, and pain is being put on these people. These are families whose parents are being wrongfully accused of child abuse currently. And I don't know if you know this, but child abuse is a allegation that regularly allows the state to intervene, to take children away from those parents and put them into the care of a parent that will not abuse them. There's a reason why child abuse is the language that was chosen here. There is a reason and there is a goal. Understood? Now, real quick, I've laid out now four of the worst examples of anti-trans legislation in the United States. Successful examples, mind you. These are laws that were pushed into law. Some of them are being contested on the federal level. Some of them may be overturned. We can certainly hope. But nonetheless, these are states which are, given that we live in the United States of America, states are independent entities. These are states that cumulatively have an enormous population of people, and they are pushing laws that can be described as nothing other, in my opinion, than genocidal. But let's take a look at some of the other laws that are currently being pushed through. I'm going to read off a couple of laws that are currently being pushed through and the general character of these laws. You'll be able to look these laws up if you so desire it. They are publicly available. It's incredibly easy to access this. All you'll need to do is type in the law. You can go look at the text of it and judge for yourself whether I'm categorizing this fairly in the future, but I believe that I am. So these are successful bills. Successful bill, Iowa HF 2416. This was a sports ban. Now, when I say sports ban, what that means is that children, generally pre-puberty children, are being forced to be categorized into sports based on their birth gender, regardless of anything else. So these are, which first of all is absurd for a number of reasons. First of all, how you test somebody's birth gender is, nobody ever gets their birth gender tested. There could be tons and tons of intersex people in addition to trans people who are caught wrongfully in the net of this law, but also it puts an undue pressure on parents and children to out themselves and to perform, if they're an athletic student, to perform on a team that they will not be on even ground with at all. Even worse so than if it had been the other way around. If you're a student who is currently on puberty blockers, you do not have the pubertal advantages, which, by the way, are highly suspect. I'm not gonna breach into that, but I'm just going to state highly suspect that there is any advantage from either puberty, that local hormone levels is really the only thing that determines any level of sports advantage. Nonetheless, that children who are on puberty blockers are being forced to go onto a team, to go into locker rooms, to go into public spaces, forcibly not as the gender they identify as. This is not only is this distressing on a personal level, but it's a public form of distress. It is a thing that makes the student a target. For what? In the name of student athletics competitivity? Student athletics is not competitive to begin with. It is about, student athletics is about socializing, about community building. It's about learning how to stick to a schedule. It's about sticking with a team. It's not really about competition. In fact, the competition levels are usually very minor and don't really even stick around for particularly long. But again, other people have gone very into depth onto the actual claims. I will allow them to talk about that, and I will focus on what we're talking about here, which is that when I say a sports ban, that's what I mean. I mean that it is forcing people to, it is enforcing a birth sex-based discrimination. So, Iowa HF 2416 is a sports ban. Louisiana SB 44, another sports ban. Ohio HB 454, which is called the Save Adolescents from Experimentation, bans trans medical care for all minors. Now, this law has made it into the second level of their internal process. This has not been passed yet, but it is looking like it is going to pass, which would make Ohio the 5th state to fully ban trans health care for minors. South Carolina H4608, the Save Women's Sports Act. A lot of these laws use the exact same terminology and sometimes the exact same text. The Save Women's Sports Act is a ban on trans participation in sports and also involves invasive testing, including genetic testing and/or period tracking. Indiana HB 1041, another sports ban. Tennessee HB 2316 and SB 2153, sports bans. Arizona HB 2161. This is an interesting one. The parental rights bill. This parental rights bill in Arizona, which was successful, allows parents to sue teachers over religious objection to sex education and LGBTQ education. It also allows parents to sue schools if school counselors do not out gay or trans children to the parents. I think this is fairly obvious why this is problematic and what the goal of this is to do. This is a law that seeks to make it less safe for trans people to speak to school counselors. Next, Arizona HB 2495, prohibition on LGBTQ education as sexually explicit materials. This is a law that categorizes a large swath of LGBTQ education as sexually explicit simply because it is LGBTQ and not straight. Book banning. Georgia HB 1084, restrictions. This is a law that restricts conversations about race, gender, and sexuality in school, and also involves limited bans on these topics being discussed in official curricula. So even if a school plans in advance, there are certain bans on what you can and cannot talk about with regard to that in schools. So that is not even close to exhaustive. By the way, if you're interested in the in seeing more of these laws, there is a fantastic website that I was able to get a lot of information from right here, freedomforallamericans.org. They have a legislative tracker that specifically tracks LGBTQ legislation, both positive and negative, in the United States. It's a very good option if you want to see even more of the ones that I'm pulling from. These were just some of the ones that I was pulling from. Let me read off a couple of the ones that have failed. Once again, I bring your attention to the aforementioned example of Texas here. As you can see, this is an example of the number of laws that have failed only in 2021. 30 plus anti-LGBTQ bills were filed. It is a swarm, an endless swarm of bills. They are literally firing as many out as they can, knowing that there is no possible way that activists can keep up with following and contesting every single bill. But of course, that's hardly the beginning. For example, Kansas HB 2210 was a criminalization, specifically a criminalization of providers for any doctor who has or is providing trans medical health care for minors. Also, Kansas put through a sports ban, or attempted to put through a sports ban, SB 208. Kansas also made a second attempt via the Senate. Kansas SB 214 was the criminalization of providers once again. Missouri had an unsuccessful attempt, HB 2086, to ban completely the changing of sex on official documents, meaning that trans people have no right to privacy in that state if this law had passed. Thankfully, it did not pass. Additionally, Missouri failed to pass HB 2735 and SB 781, which are sports bans. Now, you might be wondering why I'm reading off so many laws. And the goal of me reading off all of these laws is to point out that there is an absolute deluge in the current mainstream right now, this year, ongoing, of anti-trans legislation over an enormous chunk of the United States. If you go and search the amount of laws, I can't even list them all here. These were just notable examples of ones that I was able to find documentation on and provide. Now, as you'll notice, I was able to read off here quite a large number of successful bills, sports bans being the first of them. Now, sports bans are, in my opinion, like the least concerning of all of these laws, and they are still terrible. A sports ban forces people to live their private life in public, that they can't just decide who they are. A sports ban is like, it would be like legislating what type of shoes you wore. If you wear shoes that are pink, you can't perform. You're not allowed to participate in this sort of thing. It's literally saying you don't have a right to decide your identity. You don't have a right because of other people. It's terrible. Okay? And now we're going to shift into a slightly different segment. Now that I have sort of gone over all of this and front-loaded all of the data, all of the facts, all of the good meaty details. So you can, all of you who watch this video in the future can sit down and go through all of that. You can go and page through it all and learn about it for yourself. I've shown you guys, I've made a case for some of the biggest ones. Actually, wait a minute, I actually forgot. I forgot two things that I wanted to talk about. Let me just say that these two then. I also wanted to bring attention to two federal level discriminatory legal actions taken against trans people, both of which were done under the presidency of Donald Trump. Now, you know, I know that it's been a very, very, very long time since Donald Trump was president. That's a joke. Obviously, he was. It's very. We've only just gotten into the presidency of Joe Biden, but just let us recall that Donald Trump formally banned, all transgender service people from the military. So no new trans people were allowed in, and trans people in the military were kicked out. Now, regardless of what your opinion is on the U.S. military, or regardless of what your opinion is on U.S. military service, there can be no ifs, ands, or buts about exactly what this law was meant to do. This law was meant to target, marginalize, and dehumanize trans people. It was saying that trans people are not good enough. They're medically unsound. They're not good enough to be a part of our armed services. They are a tactical disadvantage, which there is no evidence for this whatsoever. This was again done by executive action. This was done out of prejudice very clearly, and it was done to marginalize and to remove opportunities for trans people. And again, I will just point out here at this moment, we already have it established that trans people are already marginalized, that a lot of trans people turn to the military because they have no other way of building a stable income and a stable career for themselves. So this was targeted to harm trans people, to make it harder for trans people to make their way in the United States. The second thing that I want to bring attention to was a memo which was published by Donald Trump's, I believe it was HHS. Hold on. Let me see if I can find this real quick. Yes, sorry. This is the one. It was from the HHS, a memorandum that was issued from the Trump admin that was specifically targeting and instructing members of the HHS how to instruct women's shelters from spotting trans people. It was literally targeted at denying trans people the access to abuse shelters. I don't think you can get much more blunt than that as to the goal of that sort of legislation. That legislation is denied to specifically target people who are in need. It is a memo that was designed to instruct behavior in the Trump HHS, and the behavior that it was instructing was how to target people who have already come for help in an abuse situation and prevent them from getting the aid they needed. Genuinely, based on pseudoscience, literally based on pseudoscience. Does this person look trans? That was the aim. Okay, so I wanted to bring these up because those were the laws that I mentioned previously have all been at the state level, and it has been since Trump was in office. Seemingly, a lot of people have forgotten about what happened under Donald Trump, but I want people to be reminded that on the federal level, discrimination against trans people was already in place to a massive degree. And I mean specific targeting of the well-being of trans people, denying them access to abuse shelters, denying them access to the military. I don't know how much more of a message you can get than saying of dehumanizing someone and de-citizening someone than saying you are not good enough to be a part of the military. And I am no, you know, super pro military person. You all know I'm a lefty. I critique war pretty solidly, pretty frequently. Okay. So now what we are going to do is we are going to move on to the sort of second segment of this, and or the next segment of this, I should say, maybe not the second. The next segment that we are going to be talking about is definitions of genocide. Now, I've been talking about a lot of specifics, and I just want to remind everyone why we're talking about those specifics. Because I am building a case here that there is an ongoing and active, a very easily verifiable genocide of trans people going on in the United States right now, and that it is a reason for concern and a reason for strong political action. So, now, in recent discourse, a lot of people have brought up the UN definition of genocide. So that is the one that we are going to start with. I'm going to read off the UN definition of genocide, and then I'm going to talk about how it applies to our current situation, or if it does not. Okay? So here we go. Definition of genocide under the Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide. This is from the United Nations itself. Article 2. In the present convention, genocide means that any of the following acts committed with intent to destroy, in whole or in part, a national, ethical, or ethnical, my apologies, racial or religious group as such, killing members of the group, causing serious bodily or mental harm to members of the group, deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part, imposing measures intended to prevent births within the group, forcibly transferring children of the group to another group. Now, in just the laws that I have talked about, almost all of these, and keep in mind, genocide means any of the following acts committed. We have seen causing serious bodily or mental harm to members of the group. This is present in all of the bans that we discussed, from the sports bans, which aim to socially ostracize and put at risk and remove the privacy of individuals, all the way up to laws that are seeking to ban medically necessary care for trans people, which does cause serious bodily and mental harm, both in the form of forcing people to go through a distressing puberty that is physical, that cannot be undone, and secondly, to the increased rate of suicide in untreated trans people, which by definition are being created by laws such as Florida, Arkansas, Alabama, and Texas. Deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part. Once again, we have a perfect example of this in nearly everything that we talked about, but also present in the federal ban on trans participation in the military, given that lots of people seek out the military predominantly because they are impoverished and see the military as a path to success. Banning them specifically has no other goal except to inflict on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction. D, imposing measures intended to prevent births within the group. Now, this is an interesting one. A lot of people don't know about this, but I mentioned this the other day. I'm going to mention it again. It is currently on the books in many states that some level of gender-affirming surgery is required before you can change any documents. Now, for those who don't know, not everyone who seeks out gender transition will also seek out something like sexual reassignment surgery, which are, you know, when the genitals of somebody are surgically altered to match the gender, to match the sex that they are aiming for. In fact, a lot of people don't seek that out. Most people, or a lot of people, are specifically fixated on the social and physical appearance of their body as how that affects dysphoria. So having that as a requirement not only demands that trans people behave a certain way, but also makes sterilization a well hidden, I'll say that it was very well hidden, but a hidden requirement of having your name changed. This is a common rule still present all across the U.S. Although, of course, this sort of legalizing or this sort of legal approach has been foregone in lieu of complete bans. Okay? And of course, forcibly transferring children of the group to another group. Now, this one is a bit interesting because the children, a trans kid, is not necessarily going to be children of trans people. A kid who is trans is most likely going to have cisgendered parents. So while on a very technical level, what Greg Abbott did in prosecuting the parents of trans kids does not, on the most literal version of this, meet that definition. I think that it is very, very well within a good faith interpretation of this reading that taking a child away from a parent because that parent allowed them to get trans healthcare with a medical practitioner overseen by medicine, I think that fits that definition very well. Taking them away, putting them into adoption or putting them into a foster system at the power of the state. While it does not meet the literal letter of the law, I think it meets the spirit of the law, absolutely. People call CPS on parents of trans kids, falsely accuse them. Yes, of course. The Genocide Convention establishes in Article 1 that the crime of genocide may take place in the context of an armed conflict, international or non-international, but also in the context of a peaceful situation. This is important to note, that even the UN acknowledges that no open war is required to have an ongoing genocide. The latter is less common, but still possible. The same article establishes the obligation of the contracting parties to prevent and punish the crime of genocide. The popular understanding of what constitutes genocide tends to be broader than the content of the norm under international law. Article 2 contains a very narrow definition of the crime of genocide, which includes two elements: a mental element, the intent to destroy, in whole or in part, a national, ethnical, racial, or religious group as such, and two, a physical element, which we went through above. Now, the mental element, which is an intent to destroy, no one ever can read the minds of an individual. No law is built when they're discussing the mental element, the intent. The intent is analyzed by the outcomes of the law. A law that prevents trans people from getting health care, thus starving them, or thus harming them. A law that prevents trans people from accessing shelters, thus starving them. That is how the intent is determined. The intent is determined by the structure of the law, not by what literally the people who put the law forward were feeling. However, we can determine intent further by investigating the opinions of those pushing these laws. And as I have said many, many times, it is extremely easy to find transphobic sentiments being pushed by right-wing talking points. I mean, I can give you an example from literally last night. Extremely popular far-right talking head Tucker Carlson, one of the most watched right-wing shows, blamed the rise in diesel prices on World War trans. Now, I don't know how he comes to that conclusion, but the rhetoric is directing the cause of a war at trans people, that apparently this is a war about trans people, that there is, and this is one of the most popular examples just off the cuff that I remember from literally last night. Him blaming a world war on trans people with no evidence, just because apparently the war in Ukraine has something to do with wokeness. And we see other such examples, like, for example, when Tucker Carlson ran a highly suspect and fraudulent story about a supposed trans teacher and ended the segment telling his viewers, it's time to stand up and take action because this is coming for you. This is coming for your kids. They're coming for your kids. It's pretty clear what's being called to there. And this is not uncommon. This is repeated by figures such as Matt Walsh, who has millions of followers and thousands of daily commenters on his videos. This is pushed by people like Ben Shapiro. This is pushed by people like Steven Crowder. Essentially, all of the major right-wing talking heads are pushing anti-trans sentiments and extreme action to protect children from trans people, with no evidence, okay? And in addition, we see that this is echoed all the way up to the highest levels of Republican leadership. We see this echoed in the positions and policies that Donald Trump put forward. We see this echoed by statements issued literally on the daily by active members of Congress, such as Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert, and many, many more, mind you. And of course, I can pull from all kinds of anecdotal examples of us watching Trump rallies on my stream right here, where you are watching this right now, of us watching in real time as Republican candidates, Republican representatives, senators, celebrities, and aspiring candidates make jokes about trans people being groomers, make jokes about how we need to use our Second Amendment rights. The Second Amendment, for those who are unfamiliar, is the right to bear arms to protect children from groomers. Yeah, another example. There was a, thank you very much for bringing that up, Ken Monger. There was a bomb threat, a number of threats, but specifically culminating in a major bomb threat that was issued against the Boston Children's Hospital after conservative talking heads accused the hospital of engaging in child mutilation. So, I wanted to go through how we can surmise an intent even above and beyond just looking at the legal intent of a law. The legal intent of a law meaning, what is this law actually aiming to do? A law that bans trans people from the military is barring trans people from a career path that is generally considered to be accessible to all able-bodied civilians. The law is functionally classifying trans people as not able for the most basic form of public service that you can think of. That's what I'm talking about. Now, thankfully, the UN's definition of genocide is not the only definition of genocide, nor is it even, interestingly, nor is it even the most popular definition of genocide, although it is probably the most narrow. So it is the most specific, but the most specific definition is not always the most helpful. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to read a number of extremely easily accessible, publicly posted and popularly recognized definitions of genocide throughout the years, okay? I want you to hear these and understand why, once you move beyond the UN definition, which I attest and I assert that the United States, the current state of affairs in the United States does meet the UN definition of genocide. However, I want to also drive home that many, many, many other popular definitions of genocide also accurately describe the state of affairs in the United States. So let's jump into this. This is the Wikipedia page, very, very easy. I told you I wanted this to be very accessible so that, you know, this is popular, this is no niche knowledge, no private languages, no niche knowledge, no made up shit that everybody says all the time. Oh, you're extreme activists coming up with terms to scare people. This is scaremongering. No, it isn't, okay? I just want that to be clear. This is literally the Wikipedia, a general use encyclopedia, has quite a large number of very popular definitions of genocide on hand. So we're gonna read this real quick. So, of course, we have in 1948, the UN General Assembly. This is the rule. So starting from there. In 1959, Dutch law professor Peter N. Drost stated that genocide is the deliberate destruction of physical life of individual human beings by reason of their membership of any human collectivity as such. This is cited from Crime of the State, Volume 2, by Leiden, published in 1959. In 1975, Armenian sociologist Vakan Dadrian stated, genocide is the successful attempt by a dominant group vested with formal authority and or with preponderant access to the overall resources of power to reduce by coercion or lethal violence the number of a minority group whose ultimate extermination is held desirable and useful and whose respective vulnerability is a major factor contributing to the decision for genocide. Now you'll notice in both of these definitions, they change the way that a group is categorized because, as you can see in the UN definition, the UN limits it to national, ethnical, racial, or religious groups. However, we have now seen through history that political affiliation and sexuality and gender presentation are all examples of things that people can be targeted upon. So both of these publicly and well-recognized definitions already exist. So let's continue. 1976, sociologist Irving Horowitz. Genocide is a structural and systematic destruction of innocent people by a state bureaucratic apparatus. That's an interesting one. Genocide represents a systematic effort over time to liquidate a national population, usually a minority, and functions as a fundamental political policy to assure conformity and participation of the citizenry. Genocide scholar Leo Cooper. I shall follow the definition given in the UN Convention. This is not to say that I agree with that definition. On the contrary, I believe a major omission to be the exclusion of political groups from the list of groups protected. In the contemporary world, political differences are at the very least as significant a basis for massacre and annihilation as racial, national, ethnic, or religious differences. Then too, the genocides against racial, national, ethnic, and religious groups are generally a consequence of or intimately related to political conflict. However, I do not think it helpful to create new definitions of genocide when there is an internationally recognized definition and a genocide convention which might become the basis for some effective action. However, limited the underlying conception. But since it would vitiate the analysis to exclude political groups, I shall refer freely to liquidating or exterminatory actions against them. So this is a pretty strong iteration off of the UN definition, as you can see. Ukrainian-American sociologist Jack Porter says genocide is the deliberate destruction in whole or in part by a government or its agents of a racial, sexual, religious, tribal, or political minority. It can involve not only mass murder, but starvation, forced deportation, political, economic, and biological subjugation. Genocide involves three major components: ideology, technology, and bureaucracy or organization. Now you'll notice a lot of these people following the UN definition are fixating on the fact that bureaucracy can be used to enact a genocide. Isn't that an interesting development? That genocide scholars, in the time that the Holocaust happened, from the time that genocide was defined in 1944 and onwards, have since come to recognize that bureaucratic systems can actually be largely responsible for this. For example, if you just so happen, let's make an extreme example. Let's just say that in America, a law was passed that made it harder for people of a certain race or group to get access to food benefits. Many people would not immediately acknowledge that as genocidal, although if you inspect it for even a moment, you acknowledge that, wait a minute, a specific group is being bureaucratically targeted for elimination or for shrinking. That is why so many of these definitions have, so many modern definitions include the bureaucratic nature of a lot of these practices. Let's continue. I want to jump ahead through a couple of these. You've got an idea of a number of these, but I wanted to jump ahead to just a couple of more recent ones. So here we have in 1996, Irving Horowitz offered another updated version of his definition of genocide. We just read him before. He has since, in 1996, reformed his opinion and states as follows. Genocide is herein defined as a structural and systematic destruction of innocent people by a state bureaucratic apparatus. Genocide means the physical dismemberment and liquidation of people on a large scale, an attempt by those who rule to achieve the total elimination of a subject people. Now, That's an interesting way of putting it. The elimination of a subject people. And it brings up an interesting question, which is to say that how can that sometimes the act of genocide is fixated specifically on eradicating a group of people as a concept, not even necessarily literally killing every single member of the group, but instead making it impossible for that group to be able to identify itself. An example of this would be laws that make it impossible to be trans in public. If it becomes criminalized or heavily stigmatized to be trans in public, as it is in many states, including states which have pushed bathroom bans. We didn't even talk very much about bathroom bans, but a number of states have pushed forth bathroom bans. A bathroom ban is a perfect example of a law that intends to make it impossible for someone to identify publicly as trans. What this means is that trans people disappear. They might still exist. There might still be people who in their heart of hearts are transgender out there, but they can no longer identify publicly as that because they have been pushed into the closet. They have been pushed into the shadows. Their group has been eliminated. Do you understand? Both physically and socially, but primarily socially. This is the intent of a lot of genocidal actions, is not just to literally physically kill people, but to stop them from appearing as people at all, to make them, instead of, I mean, we all know, what is the thing that Republicans repeat all the time about being trans? Oh, being trans is a mental illness. Why do they want it to be a mental illness? Because they don't want trans people to be a thing. They want trans people to become crazy people. They want trans people to become to be put into an asylum. They want to erase the group trans people and say, no, those people don't exist. They're not real. They're just this. Put them in prison, put them in an asylum. Let's continue. Martin Shaw, sociologist, in 2007 stated, genocide is a form of violent social conflict or war between armed power organizations that aim to destroy civilian social groups and those groups and other actors who resist this destruction. Genocidal action is action in which armed power organizations treat civilian social groups as enemies and aim to destroy their real or putative social power by means of killing, violence, coercion against individuals whom they regard as members of the group. Literally everything we have talked about today fits this definition to a T. In fact, most of the definitions that I have read here fit everything that we have talked about today to a T. Let's go one further, okay? This one is particularly interesting. Historian John Cox, in 2017 stated, genocide is the concerted, coordinated effort to destroy any human group or collectivity as it is defined by the perpetrator. Now, I quite like this, and the reason why I like this is because, as we know, groups are defined by the perpetrators of these things. In Nazi Germany, they determined what the groups were. The disabled, people didn't choose to be considered disabled. People didn't choose to be considered Jewish. There were tons of people who weren't Jewish who got arrested for that. There were tons of people who weren't gay who got put into camps with the little triangle. There were people who weren't disabled or didn't consider themselves disabled that the Nazis considered disabled. So I find this to be quite a compelling definition because it is a concerted, coordinated effort to destroy any human group or collectivity defined by the perpetrator. And as we know, as people have referenced in chat through this entire segment, we know that Republicans have all kinds of names and categorizations for trans people, that they are very engaged in transvestigations, that they will consider people to be trans whether or not that person is actually trans. And yes, as Manesh says, Nazis defined disabled peoples as lebensuncertes Leben. I don't know if I said that correctly, but the translation is life unworthy of life. Yeah, I was reading a article recently. One of the most common ways in which Adolf Hitler described disabled people was as literally dead weight. He described them as dead weight on society. I think the term was literally, It was called like ballast something. Let me just see if I can pull this up. Let me see if I can find it. It was, I wish I could remember what the term was. Yeah, it was called Ballast Existences is the direct translation. I want to find the actual word that was used. This is a bit of a distraction. The term that's used is not, but that's the terminology that is used. And keep in mind, this is the same rhetoric right now that is being used by Republicans against trans people, and against disabled people, and against immigrants. It's the exact same term, almost exact same term, literally not German, obviously, but English, the same translations, the same combinations of words to describe people. So, there's one last thing that I wanted to say on the topic of genocide, okay? And that is, I wanted to pull from yet another very easily publicly accessible document, which is the Wikipedia article on transgender genocide. Now, this is a pretty major article with a lot of citations. So if you're interested in learning more about what academics, well-recognized academics have to say about trans genocide, there is a ton of it in this article. But specifically, I want to bring attention to this particular line here. Historians have described as genocidal selected actions against transgender people, including colonialist and Nazi activities that occurred before the term genocide was even used in international law. Adam Jones is a extremely well-recognized genocide scholar. He's literally, if you go look at this guy's route, like this guy wrote 1, 2, 3, he wrote like 15 books on genocide, okay? But he says, in his 2017 book, Genocide, A Comprehensive Introduction, that in recent years, as gay rights have become gradually more accepted and respected, the burden of atrocity has increasingly targeted transgender women and male transvestites. Okay? So I wanted to bring that all up. I wanted to bring up that particular one. And in fact, I think there's one more thing from Adam Jones that I wanted to bring up real quick. Let me just grab this. Yes, here we go. Hold on, let me just bring this up. I wanted to open this fully. I didn't have that one on hand. Oh yeah, no, that was the citation I had. Never mind. That's just a mistake on my part. So let's talk about the final bit of this extended, long, very, very detailed segment, okay? Let's summarize and let's talk about what this all means, okay? So what I have laid out today, in summary, is an example of numerous, countless, a preponderance of examples of American legislation that is currently enacting or intending to enact, to a great degree, genocidal action against trans people. All across this country, there is a wave of legislation that is specifically highlighting and targeting trans people, and interestingly, almost always specifically targeting their participation in public life. My participation in public life. I am, as is probably apparent to many people, given that I talk about it all the time, I am a trans person. I am a trans woman, and I'm very public about that. I have a particularly personal investment in this subject, and therefore I really want what I say to be well backed up and also hopefully listened to. What we have seen here today is a preponderance of examples of trans legislation directly targeted at, of anti-trans legislation directly targeted at harming the well-being, mental and physical, of trans people. all of these that we talked about today, none of this, or very, very little, I should say I did talk about Republican talking heads a bit, but mostly, almost every single thing that I brought up today was specifically the state enacting or attempting to enact laws, the armed powers that be, the existing status quo powers enacting these laws against trans people with no meaningful evidence of harm, with no scientific backing, with no popular backing in many cases. And in the cases where it is, even the popular backing doesn't really matter because they don't have the scientific or rational backing. And all of these things I've talked about fit not only a formalized definition of genocide as upheld by the United Nations, but further match the descriptions of genocide put forward by some of the world's foremost scholars on genocide, people who've taken their entire lives to devote to the study of, the prevention of, and the understanding of actions of genocide. I think that it would be absurd in the face of all of this to claim that there is not an ongoing genocide of trans people in the United States. But more so, I want people to pay attention to the way that bureaucracy and legalism can be used to push these things forward. That these rights the rights granted to trans people are already less than what is granted to everyone else. That there is an undue amount of scrutiny placed on trans and gay people, for that matter, simply for an intrinsic trait. They're no different, but there is a perpetual sort of employment of everything from the naturalistic fallacy to invocations of religion that claim that, well, trans people are the weird ones, that gay people are the weird ones, and that is the impetus that leads to people saying, well, maybe we should slow down on these rights things. Maybe we should uniquely prohibit the medical access of these people because, well, I don't know, but I want people to pay attention to that. That's how it always is. That's how it was in Germany. That's how it is in every genocide. In every single genocide, the laws are never 100% explicit. The laws are always designed to invoke to sort of beg the question of morality and assume a certain type of morality that intrinsically incriminates queer people. So, thank you very much for the kind words in chat. I really want people to pay attention to this because I think that sometimes the normalization of harm can lead us to think that there is nothing wrong. And I think, in fact, that is a sort of a major operating factor of how genocides have unfolded in the past. That in the past, those who set out with genocidal intent, those who dehumanize, be it Jewish people, be it trans people, be it gay people, be it black people, that they set out to have plausible deniability for their rules which assert a dehumanized status for the people that they're targeting. And that they often rely on pre-existing norms of harm. There has been a question that was sort of lobbed at me a couple of times over the course of the last couple of days talking about this subject, which is this idea of like, well, gay people, X group of people have been mistreated for long periods of time in history. Does that mean that there was an ongoing genocide? And the answer is maybe, yeah. Just because something has been normalized, just because you're used to seeing it, doesn't mean that thing is okay. And often it comes from a terrible place. I mean, if you go look at the history of like anti-gay legislation in, say, England or Germany, you will see that the laws their roots go as deep as Christian theological law. I mean, an example that Doe gave me, thankfully, we're preparing another segment talking about this issue more broadly, which we will not get into here. But an example that I wanted to sort of bring attention to is that the initial laws that Nazis used, to persecute gay people. This was known as Paragraph 175 or Section 175 of the German Penal Code. These were drawn directly from former imperial laws. The initial law that originally that was the source of this law, where when they were forming when the Weimar Republic was deciding on its laws, they pulled from a pre-existing law on homosexuality and said, all right, we're going to keep that going forward. And that law, and they changed the wording, but the assumptions were the same. I'm going to read you the original law that came from the Holy Roman Empire initially, and then later was transformed into the law that the Weimar Republic upheld that the Nazis then used. So there's a line between these things. The punishment for fornication that goes against nature. When a human commits fornication with a beast, a man with a man, a woman with a woman, they have forfeited life, and they should be, according to the common custom, banished by fire from life into death. This is the law that existed originally in 1532, and then was changed, its wording was changed during the formation of the Republic, and its wording changed to unnatural fornication between males or between humans and animals is punishable by imprisonment. The loss of civil rights can be recognized. So this legal structure was pulled directly out of old Christian morality, and it carried over this assumption of dehumanization of the right of the state to kill someone based on their sexuality. And that is very much the case now. There is the status quo is horrible, absolutely fucking horrible to a lot of marginalized people. But right now, the eye of these people is fixated on trans people. And the law that exists previous to that was discriminatory, was designed to prevent them, prevent trans and gay people from ever having a say in society, from ever existing as a social group in society. And only now that those laws have been sort of pushed back against and these groups have had a small amount of room, are we able to recognize how bad they were to begin with. Most US states do still have sodomy laws, yes. Sorry to be that person, but Weimar, whatever. I can't believe I'm getting pronunciation policed. Anyway, I'm planning on talking about the sort of history of these types of laws further in the future. But that right there essentially summarizes the extent of my case. I believe that there is a trans genocide ongoing and active in the United States of America. I believe that activists, everyone, not just activists, everyone should take this seriously, both domestically and internationally, especially because the U.S.'s hegemonic influence on the world does spread transphobia and homophobia worldwide. If America swings fash, it is going to hurt the entire world. If America continues on the path of genocide, as it is, as all of the Republicans are very clearly, indicating, that's really bad. It's really bad for us. It's really bad for you if you don't live in the United States. It's bad for everyone. It is exactly what I was talking about at the beginning, that if you take seriously the horror of genocide, if you believe that genocide of any type is bad, we should be willing to call this out. We should be willing to call it out for what it is. We should be willing to push back as hard as is necessary. Okay? There's one very last thing I wanted to touch on that I realize I didn't touch on, okay? And this is this is just, it's a little bit of an extra here, okay? To just nail home what I'm talking about when I say that the Republican Party isn't just pushing these laws, they're going much further, okay? I'm just gonna bring this up real quick, okay? Just 1 second. Here we go. Let's take a look. This is from the 2022 Republican Party platform from Texas, okay? So this is the official platform of the Texas GOP. I believe that the Texas GOP is the biggest Republican organization outside of the National Republican Organization. This is their official platform. Homosexuality is an abnormal lifestyle choice. We believe there should be no granting of legal entitlements or creation of special status for homosexual behavior, regardless of state of origin, and we oppose any criminal or civil penalties against those who oppose homosexuality out of faith, conviction, or belief in traditional values. No one should be granted special legal status based on their LGBTQ identification. This is exactly what I was talking about in a goal to destroy a group in the social sphere. No, they are asserting that they believe homosexuality is an abnormal life choice. They are attempting to establish to invoke a Christian norm, okay? Gender identity. We oppose all efforts to validate transgender identity. All efforts for the purpose of attempting to affirm a person age 21 or under if their perception is inconsistent with their biological sex. No medical practitioner or provider may engage in the following practices: intervene to prevent natural progression of puberty, which this is hilarious. You know, the idea that oh yeah, puberty, going through a traumatic puberty is totally fine as long as it's God that did it to you. B, administer or provide opposite sex hormones. Or C, perform any surgery on healthy body parts of that person. Now, this wording is pretty questionable, because I would also say that this probably rules out all surgeries on any trans people, but all right. Counseling methods. This is also an interesting one. Notice this. Therapists, psychologists, and counselors licensed within the state of Texas shall not be forbidden or penalized any licensing board for practicing reintegrative therapy. For those who don't know, reintegrative therapy is one of the new euphemisms for conversion therapy, which is itself a euphemism for torture. Conversion therapy is a therapy designed to browbeat, abuse, or physically torture a trans or gay person into being straight or being cis. Or other counseling methods when counseling clients of any age with gender dysphoria or unwanted same-sex attraction. So again, this is the official stance of the biggest GOP in the United States. That is their explicit intention. Their explicit intention is to legalize conversion therapy, to ban any sort of transgender affirming care completely, to delete the existence of homosexual people as anything other than, in their minds, a dehumanized, abnormal weirdness. And I want you to recognize, by the way, that there is no true thing as normal. Normal is always invented. Norms are always invented by the person asserting the norm. Homosexuality is normal. It has existed through all of history. Being trans is normal. It has existed throughout all of history. It is as normal as being straight. It is as normal as anything else. Just because it's not as common does not mean that it's any more or less normal than the way they do things. They have asserted that their way of doing things is the normal, and that is the law that they are pursuing. They are pursuing eliminating anyone who does not fit the definition of their definition of life, okay? And I want people to understand this. I really, really, really hope that I've been able to lay out a strong case for why I believe, and I believe you should believe, and you should act as though, because there is an ongoing genocide of trans people in the United States of America. Thank you very much for listening to me and being patient with my long-windedness on this topic. I simply wanted to be as exhaustive as possible. There we go. All right, everybody. That's that. Whew. All right, I can come out of the focus tunnel now. Oh my God. Damn, I kept it together really good for y'all, didn't I? You know, every once in a while, I have to do a stream like this where I just do an unbelievable amount of work and put an incredible amount of effort into making sure that I deliver it in a way that makes sense to people and that I don't swear every other fucking word. Letter name, thank you very, very much for the 10 gifted tier 1 subs. Deeply, deeply appreciate that. Thank you so very much. I think it would be pretty hard for people to make a coherent argument against what I've presented here. Wow, I'm literally stumbling over all of my words. And by the way, you'll notice that today I did not focus on what we should do about it, because that is a different conversation altogether, and I really, really, really want people to acknowledge the seriousness of the situation before I try to before I open up a discussion about what we should do about it, because there's a lot that could be done about it. But the overall answer is whatever the fuck you can, okay? Whatever the hell you can. Genocides are they are nightmarish events. They are nightmarish endeavors that destroy lives, that destroy our future. They rob humanity of a future, both individually, from individual people no longer being able to live the rest of their life, but also from all of the people those people would be connected to. Sorry again for nitpicking on pronunciation. Just wanted to have the correction on record so as to remove a shitty excuse to dismiss your historical arguments. Well, I hope they wouldn't do that. People think that because there aren't literal death camps yet that we're being hyperbolic. Keep in mind that genocides aren't defined by death camps. That death camps are the later stage of a genocide. Genocides always happen in stages. Bisadu says, the transphobes target cis people with their transphobia too. I shared a video and content recommendation that happened to be of a cis woman being harassed in a bathroom. Not to say cis women are more important, but yes, transphobia is misogyny. Absolutely. That's what I was talking about with the transvestigation. Remember, it's the oppressor who ends up making, it's the oppressor who ends up getting to create those categories. You don't have a choice. Anybody could be lumped in if they find you suspicious enough. But also, yes, there are many things that have substituted the functionality of death camps. Having conversion therapy as popular as it is in the United States, remember just a couple of months ago when we were talking about how Milo Yiannopoulos is creating a conversion therapy camp in Florida that is going to pressure gay people to become Christians so that they can control their gayness? We know what that results in. We know that conversion therapy and people trying to force themselves to not be gay results in suicide. Mr. Krabs123 with the $5 says, once they got for trans people, they go after me, a Hispanic neurodivergent person, and their Hispanic Mexican community, and then they will target the next minority group. Yes. Oh, that's a long story, RX Replicate. I recommend you watching it yourself. Yes, as Ken Monger brings up, yes, there are a lot of conversion therapy camps that have been literally convicted of doing human trafficking, because the way they operate is to take a kid away in the middle of the night, get the kid alone away from their parents, but with the permission of the parents. Thick Boy has donated $10. Please post this on YouTube. I missed a lot because I was at work. Don't worry, this will be going up tomorrow. I missed a donation. Did I miss a few donations? Let's see. I'm pretty sure I read out all of them, but let me just double check. I thought I had, but maybe I didn't. It's possible. I was very, very, very focused, so it's very possible I missed a few. Crooked Man, I learned a lot from your talks about cults. Have you read Merleau's The Rape of the Mind? I have not, but I should. Thank you very much, Crooked Man. Also, Mr. Krabs with the $5, here's the link, and the Sonic community is on fire over the design. Okay, I will take a look at this meme. Oh, it's somebody got blocked by Stone Toss. God damn. I didn't see the original meme, but all right, damn. Good job on getting that block, I guess. Fuck Stone Toss. The Sonic to Demon Mama pipeline. Yes, I do. I am delivered all of the Sonic memes. Thank you very, very much, Mr. Krabs. I deeply appreciate it. And fuck Stone Toss, unironically. Fuck it. Fuck that guy. Whatever. The loop-de-loop? Maybe. I do want to spend a little bit of time right now talking about what can be done. This is not going to be a part of the formal video because I want the video to be very pinpointed and focused in its goal. But I want people to realize there's a lot that can be done to resist this sort of thing. But I do think that one of the most important things is to be connecting with other people. If you're trans yourself, find yourself some online or offline, ideally both, trans communities where you can start meeting people with shared values and shared needs. Because when you band together, it's easier to meet your needs. And if you meet other people, you might be able to find somebody who can help you get to a better place. The mutual aid aspect is going to be incredibly, incredibly important. And it should not be understated how much simple acts of mutual aid in the past have saved lives. Keep in mind that when we talk about the Holocaust, we often talk about the fact that people hid Jewish people in their attic. That is a simple act of mutual aid that saves a group, that can save a life of many people. 10-letter name with the $75. Holy shit, 10-letter name. Thank you so much. IWD is hosting a turf rally in my city. I'm putting together an article on how IWWD turned into IWD. And if anyone is familiar with this subject, please DM me. Yes, if anyone knows anything about IWWD turning into IWD and then hosting a turf rally in Brisbane, Australia, please reach out to 10-letter name on the Discord who is present there. Hide trans kids in your attic, whatever you need to do. Now, in some places, like for example, let's talk of the brass tacks here. When it comes to places like Florida, there is going to be a mass exodus from Florida. We are going to see an incredible amount of people escaping, attempting to escape from Florida. But keep in mind that moving is really fucking expensive right now. Most people can't actually afford moves. So if you can even help someone for a short amount of time to help them get out of a place and get set up somewhere else, even if it's just offering your spare room to a trans person for a while, you could save a life. And there is going to be a lot of need for that. Something that I want to do in the near future is I want to put together an ongoing list of direct donations that you can get to trans people in need. The goal will be to sort of assemble GoFundMes and whatever that people post up to help people get out of these states. Every person that you help is one more person who will be able to survive to fight back against this issue. It is incredibly important that we recognize the unbelievable value of interpersonal mutual aid and other forms of direct action in this sort of situation. Please spend time making friends, spend time networking with other trans people, spend time community building, even if it's a little hard, even if you're a little nervous. You all know my Discord is very welcoming to trans people. I know for a fact that my Discord has served as a hub for many people to make new friends, for many people to make connections, for people to build actual community where they can directly help one another. It makes so much of a difference. How do we do that safely? Like, I'd love to help someone get out of Missouri, and I would be a good pit stop, but I would need to be safe, and I would want them to know that they're safe. Well, there's a number of ways that you can do this. For example, like, the easiest way is to make friends and then listen for their friends. And if a friend of a friend is somebody who's in need, you have a level of trust already on hand there. And keep in mind that, like, trans people are not a huge, population of the United States, but they're not a small population either. And we're not without connections. We have other connections. As for like determining like what you want to do with your own house, That's going to come up to your own level of comfort. But there's a lot of options. And also, there are currently a number of various groups that are trying to put together more formalized versions of this, like basically an underground railroad of volunteers, etc. I have so many people in Georgia that will need a place soon. Well, we will, when that time comes, we will get names out there. And if needs arise, please consider DMing it to me on Twitter with as much details as you can. The more details that I have, to the best of your ability, the more likely I am to be able to try and help that. But I can't be the only one doing this. It's a lot of people out there, okay? Texas Republicans have admitted they threw out 20,000 ballot votes because they would have turned Texas blue. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Trans safe houses. Yeah, I think that's something that a lot of people who have that ability should do that. If you're somebody who somehow has like a lot of house space or a lot of spare rooms, consider finding what things already exist that would allow you to offer that space up to people in need who just need a temporary place to get out of their dangerous state and get to a safer state. I am not somebody who has spare space. I just don't. My house is small, but by the way, just for the record, I want you to know that I personally put my money where my mouth is, so to say. I have personally, in the course of my life, helped more than one person personally get out of a dangerous state. And I live this, you know. All of my partners are trans, and my roommate is trans. We all live together. We have deliberately we've come together and we work together to make sure that we all get our hormones, to make sure that we all get what we need. We're all poor right now. Not everybody is poor right now, and not everybody who's poor doesn't have some weird resource, okay? You want me to watch something about, I don't know what that is. I wish I could know, but I don't know what that is. There is going to be a need for, I always say this, I can only do so much as a internet, talking head, person. I'm an entertainer, an edutainer at best. Oh, thank you so much. I love you. I'm an edutainer at best, and there's only so much I can do. But what I can do is I can poke y'all's brains to get working and to start thinking about what you might be able to do with your unique life situation. Everybody in my chat has a completely unique life and has a totally unique assessment of what they have available. But I can tell you this much. Please consider joining the good fight. And I mean that. Please consider that your actions with regard to this type of genocide will change the world. That you will have an opportunity uniquely. Living in a dark time like this gives you the unique opportunity to help make the future a less dark place. Truly. Damn. 2 hours and wow, I went for like an hour and 40 minutes on that segment. Jesus Christ. Would we be able to put a command in chat for Trevor Project? Probably, yeah. We could probably do that. Someone in the Discord wants to debate about today's stream. All right. Okay. Who is it? Where are they and who is it? If they get into chat, I will talk to them. Check political. All right, somebody help them get in here. Yeah, I'm totally feeling it. I'm absolutely ready. Let's have some discussions, okay? Let's make it happen. It's Dark Admiral? Okay, I see them. They're in general. All right. Oh, I see they're in the waiting room. All right. Hello, hello, hello. Is this Dark Admiral? All right.
I have to
Step
say,
one. Wait. Before you do anything else, step one, turn off the stream so it doesn't echo. Step two, what are your pronouns?
I don't have any pronouns. I'm just a guy.
Okay, none. A guy. Okay, so I'll just put guy. Guy, self. All right, there we go. We got guy, self up on here. All right, guy. Now, one more little request. Can you just give me a quick test so I can gauge your audio levels?
Test.
Yeah, I gotta turn you down just a tiny bit. All right, there we go. That should do it. So, all right. You have an issue with the unbelievably ironclad take that I just unleashed on stream.
It's the take that you think that the fearmonger that the trans genocide. That would imply that most of the trans deaths are due to the fact of discrimination from civilians, but 41% of that death is from suicide from other little factors that play into it.
Okay, so wait. So with you coming in here and dropping the 41% meme, let me just explain to my audience what that is. 41% is a dog whistle. It is an out-of-date statistic about the rate of trans suicides. It is frequently utilized by Nazis. It is not accurate, nor is it in and of itself an argument. So, so you're just really stupid, then, is basically what you're saying.
I mean, you can use the ad hom if you want. That's on you.
I mean, that's not an ad hom. I'm just like, I'm asking you if you are. I'm just asking you if you are stupid.
An ad hom is when
like
you try to insult someone to try to discredit them, than actually engaging their point.
Well, no, actually, an ad hom is when you substitute an insult for an argument. I was just asking you if you were stupid, but I understand. I know I can now. You've answered the question intentionally or otherwise. So when you come in here and you say this little like 41% meme, you're saying that because there's a lot of trans suicides that means that it can't be a genocide. That's the argument you're trying to make?
I'm saying that the genocide, right? Because in this day and age, a lot of people like to rephrase certain terms. Like back then, when you say Nazi, like during the 1800s, they would think Hitler, right? But nowadays, when you think Nazi, you think of people with a certain type of view that's anti-Semitic. It's just like that's rephrasing and
in the 1800s. In the 1800s, like Hitler was born in like the late 1800s. So no, actually.
Well, I didn't fucking study like a fucking history and all that shit. It was during the
I mean, it's clear that you didn't study anything at all. Also, what does that have to do with anything that we're talking about?
What it has to do with is that
wait, before you go off on a big old train, real quick, did you watch the segment that I just did? Were you watching while I explained explicitly why I believe that that there's an ongoing genocide?
Okay. I was gonna engage that right now. Is that what you're doing is you're changing what genocide really is into like being discriminated against, and like, because in my opinion, genocide is like what we did to the Indians, where we killed a bunch of Indians to take this land by giving them smallpox. That's genocide, by purposely wiping them all out in a big ordeal.
Okay, so hold on. Two things real quick. First of all, okay, so first of all, oh wait, is it true? Did you just get banned from my YouTube chat for saying who cares about minorities? Rules.
I never said who cares about minorities. I said who cares. Let me say this. I said who cares about people who live in Florida, a state where your cars can get washed away as a norm. Anyone
Okay,
who lives in
that
Florida
is
is a moron.
a remarkably childish response to people being very, very rightfully concerned about the state of an absolutely unbelievable and unforgivably bad law.
In the comment itself, the state's a shithole either way, so I don't know why they would be surprised.
Oh, okay. So if you were in Florida and somebody like skinned you alive, you wouldn't care because, you know, Florida's a shithole anyway?
I would rather be homeless than live in Florida.
Okay. So yeah, again, you just don't think very deeply about things. So first of all, for the entire like last hour and a half of my stream, which you claim you have watched, I went through the current and former definitions of genocide. Just so you know, the term genocide was coined in 1944. The term genocide was created to attempt to describe the uniquely horrifying conditions that led up to the Holocaust and the Holocaust itself. So what I used was all of those definitions, and I very clearly outlined how the current laws and the current acts of both discrimination and the rhetoric that's on display very clearly fit the definition of genocide. Your definition of genocide is basically, well, it doesn't look like that World War II movie I watched one time. But you actually didn't, you can't seem to actually formulate what part of the definition of genocide I am on the wrong on.
Now, you're saying that, all right, let's start at this point. You said that trans are being discriminated against.
Yes.
Now, are trans people able to get a job at the same rate as everyone else?
No. That's been extremely well studied.
What companies or corporations are being transphobic? Because I'm pretty sure in this day and age, if you're even caught doing anything transphobic, they'll pull out all advertisers associated with that said company.
Well, that's nice that you live in a fantasy land that was sold to you by, I don't know, like Steven Crowder or whatever. But actually, as it turns out, there have been numerous studies across the United States studying the employment of trans people, and trans people have experience a highly disproportionate amount of workplace discrimination, and also routinely experience heightened levels of unemployment and extended periods of unemployment. As it turns out, discrimination against trans people is extremely, extremely difficult to crack down on because people don't say, I'm being discriminatory against trans people. They just see someone who looks trans and they go, I'm not hiring that person. However, by studying the amount of trans people who are trying to get jobs and who are unable to get jobs while their cis compatriots are not having that same struggle, we have been able to reveal that actually, yes, in the United States, employment discrimination against trans people is quite extreme. And since I know you were definitely listening super, super well in the last segment, I will remind you that prior to the presidency of the incredible Joe Biden, Dark Brandon, before his presidency, Donald Trump had formally banned trans people from one of the biggest employers in the entire world, the United States military. So the United States military had a formal and explicit ban against trans people.
Do you know why that was?
So you were just so wrong. I don't care why it was. Why does it matter what the reason was?
Because they were abusing the right to wear...
No, listen to me. Listen to me. You just came in here and said that you didn't believe the discrimination was happening. Now, I have proven to you, yes it is. I've proven to you the discrimination did happen, and you are now pivoting to a completely different argument. Can you please address the fact? Can you please address the fact that you were... The why doesn't matter. The why does not matter.
Context absolutely matters.
No, it does not. You said that discrimination against trans people does not exist. I have proven to you that it does. The why does not matter. That is a completely separate issue.
The fact they got banned from the military, which is not banned anymore, by the way.
Yes, I said that. I said that. I know you're struggling to listen, but I said that already.
And I love the fact that you want to paint me as a Republican when I think Republicans are fucking retarded as well. I think both of the parties don't care about any of the civilians.
Maybe have you considered that maybe that's why I'm identifying you as a Republican then?
Well, I guess you identify anyone who's a Republican that dare not have the same viewpoint, because that's why I notice a pattern of what a lot of Democrats like to do. like use every ISPO, everything they can label on them.
I didn't say, actually, by the way.
I know you haven't done it yet, but
I haven't said at all that you're a
surprised.
Republican. I mean, like, not even a little. I didn't even insinuate you're a Republican. I did say you're stupid because it's pretty clear that you are.
You said I listened to Steven Crowder, whose main audience is Republicans.
Well, I don't know. His main audience is something else. Maybe the first terminology you used was more accurate for what his audience is.
But either way, now,
okay. Are you ready to like say anything?
They were not allowed to go in one job. Okay. Now,
wait, that's not one job. Wait, stop it. Don't be stupid. Wait, you said trans discrimination doesn't exist. I brought up that there have been extensive studies of this, and that yes, every single major entity that is able to research labor has concluded that yes, trans people and gay people experience an inordinate amount of job discrimination, and you ignored that. And then I pointed out the fact that on the books, on the federal level, there was an explicit discriminatory ban against trans people, and you tried to shrug both of those off. This is why I don't think that you're a serious intellectual interlocutor, and instead, you probably just hate trans people. That's my suspicion. I don't know that for sure.
Now, I never said trans people aren't discriminated. Of course, you're gonna have some discrimination against trans. What I said is that are they discriminated against to where they're not able to have the same opportunities as your average day American, like African Americans or even white people, every ethnicity across the board?
Quick question. Every ethnicity across the board is allowed access into the military, right?
I believe so. I'm not sure about Russians right now. I'm not sure if they're allowing Russians at the moment into the military with the conflict, but
I'm gonna just pretend you didn't say that, but it's okay. So you acknowledge then that trans people who were as of about a year and a half ago banned completely from the military did not have access to the same rights and the same opportunities that other Americans. You literally answered your own question, and you just won't acknowledge it.
Well, they were banned a year and a half ago, true, but I'm living in present time right now.
So wait, you think that the fact that a year ago by executive action there was a federal level ban on trans people, and now Joe Biden took that away, but if a Republican gets in, they're almost assuredly going to do it again. You think that's like a win for you?
Are Republicans going to do it again?
You think that a year? Okay, let me ask you this: If you were, do you work a job right now? Do you have a job?
Yeah, I work for my father's company.
You work for your dad's company?
Yep.
Okay, so you're like a nepotism hire then?
I guess you could say that. Whatever.
Okay, so yeah. So what if you didn't work for your dad? What if you weren't like a nepotism hire? What if instead you had a job and you were responsible for paying bills, and one day you were banned because of a federal declaration from working at that job, the job that you had skill and talent for, and then also it turns out that lots of other jobs took that as a sign that it was also okay for them to discriminate. You couldn't get yourself a job. And maybe you did eventually get yourself a job, but for a year or so, you couldn't find work. How fucked would you be? You'd probably be pretty fucked, right? Most people would be pretty fucked if they had to pay their bills and couldn't get a job for a year.
If anything, I would look into why they chose to ban it, and they showed actual proof that it was for a specific reason, that they're abusing a certain people in that small group are abusing a certain privilege and to waste our taxpayers to pay for their trans surgeries. Instead of them paying it themselves.
I literally don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, like because the military, you get free health care.
No, you're rambling about something completely unrelated.
Trans people are going to the military to get free trans surgeries, and that was putting a lot of money on our taxpayers, and that's why they banned it.
Do you have any? Wait. Sorry, is this just a fantasy that you made up? I'm not aware. I want to know what's the like yearly average cost to taxpayers for trans surgeries. Because you've made an argument here that trans people are like a tax burden, but can you tell me how much money per year?
No, I'm not saying trans people are a tax burden. I'm saying the ones that are going to the military.
You just did. Don't lie. You just did.
Now, what you're trying to do is you're trying to fucking put me in a corner here and try to, mix my words up. What I said
No, I'm not trying to put you in a corner. I'm asking you a direct question. You have made a claim. Back it up. Do you have evidence that says that trans people are a outsized cost in the military?
I can get you right now. One sec.
Yeah, please, I would love to, because it would be really interesting. I would be really surprised, seeing as how trans people make up somewhere around 1% of a little bit less than 1% of the population. It would be really surprising if less than 1% of trans people was able to create an outsized medical cost. Also, you know, it's really interesting. Doesn't the military cover Viagra? Viagra, oh wait, it does. It does cover Viagra. I wonder if there was a number I could look up real quick. Military costs Viagra. Oh, let's take a look. Why does the military buy so much Viagra? Apparently, the Pentagon spends over $84 million a year just on Viagra. And there's a lot more cis men who need Viagra than there are trans people who need HRT. So it almost sounds like you're existing in a fantasy land and that you don't actually have a number to provide me. That you just sort of made it up off of your feelings.
They spent a total of 15 million just for 1,800 troops.
I'm sorry. Let's be clear about this. The Pentagon has spent $15 million in the past 5 years to treat 1,892 transgender troops. So over 5 years, they spent $15 million. Now, if you'll notice in the literal first, I'm just gonna put this up on the screen so that other people can see real quick. I'm gonna show you, this is interesting. This is from military.com, which as far as I understand is like a magazine that is run for the military. I don't know if this is like official, but it is a fan magazine basically. But real quick, the Pentagon has spent $15 million in the past 5 years to treat 1,892 transgender troops, including $11.5 million for psychotherapy and $3.1 million for surgeries. Wow, that's interesting. So over the course of 5 years, most of it was for therapy. Now, you want to know what's interesting about therapy? Everybody gets therapy in the military. So it isn't unique to trans people that they would be paying for that. So you failed to do a good job because last I checked, annually, the military spends $84 million per year on just Viagra alone, nothing else, just Viagra. 84 million per year, and you've cited all of the trans people in the military, all of their health care, including their psychotherapy and their medical, their surgical costs, was a grand total of 15 million over 5 years. So if we want to break that down a little further, that would be 3 million per year it is only $3 million for the military to pay every year for all of the trans people, but every single year they pay 84 million for Viagra. Do you understand how you are living in a fantasy land where you are pretending?
I'm saying that they have the right to choose what they want to spend the taxpayers' money on.
Oh, okay. So if the military, you would be okay if the military said that they didn't want to pay for, black people in the military's healthcare. You would be okay with that?
It doesn't matter what they choose because at the end of the day,
that's interesting.
At the end of the day,
what about white people? What if one day they just said, the military just said, no, we are no longer
my
paying.
way, the military wouldn't be covering the health care of anybody in the military. In fact, they should have health insurance like every other American. Because what it does is stigmatize that, if you're someone who's poor and you can't afford health care, join the military, you'll get free health care. So then you're pretty much sacrificing yourself, putting yourself at risk just to get free health care because you come from a family who can't afford actual health care.
Okay. That was not even an answer. That was not even like close to an answer to the question that I asked. Are you having a conversation with yourself, or are you like having a conversation with me?
No, what you said was because you're trying to label as racist. If I said, you don't care about black people,
I'm not. I'm trying to make a direct point. It's super easy. I know. Wait, listen, bro. Listen, I know you're racist. I know for a fact that you're a racist piece of shit. There's no way that you come into my chat quoting 41% memes and that you're not a racist. I'm asking you so that we can illustrate a point, so that I can hopefully reach you, that when you say that you think it's okay for the military to pay for whatever the hell they want, that you're okay with discriminating against trans people because you have something against trans people. If it was, say, white people that were discriminated against in the military, you probably wouldn't think that was okay. Or maybe you would, I don't know.
You sound
kind of a little bit like you don't really like like maybe your thoughts in your head aren't really like clicked together like most people, you know?
I wouldn't care if they discriminate against everyone in the military, honestly, because in the military, you're there for one reason. You're there to shut up and listen and take orders. You lose most of your rights when you join the military. You can't speak about really anything goes on in the military or any shit like that. So you lose that right. Once again,
you were talking about something completely unrelated to the topic. I'm pointing out the fact.
Either way.
No, not either way. I'm pointing out that specifically you're ignoring the actual topic at hand to go on some random rant about your feelings on the military. I don't care about your feelings on the military.
Listen, if you want me to say that, do I care if they discriminate against black people in the military? No, I don't. Do I care if they discriminate against white people in the military? No.
Okay, there you go. So you just believe that it's okay for the military to discriminate however they desire, even if it's completely slanted, even if it's blatantly racist, even if it's blatantly sexist. Why should we ever listen to you on your opinions on anything? Like, you just seem to not give a shit. You seem like the military, oh, whatever, it's okay.
Because the military, you have a choice to put yourself through that discrimination. Now, when it comes to trans, like, you know, the HRT stuff, now, you have a lot of things in the trans community trying to push that onto children, like Keppel's promoting a brand that makes homemade HRT, giving it to minors.
Oh, can you, so wait, hold on, I wanna analyze these claims. That's a really weird claim to make in this conversation, I just hope you know. Like, it's really, really weird to, like, bring up Keffels in a conversation about discrimination. Like, that's very strange.
Supposed to be
wait, hold on a second. I wanted to ask you a specific question about that. So you said that that Keffels was pushing healthcare onto minors. How was Keffels doing that? I'm very interested in probing your mind right now.
Because she was promoting a website, which was a website that promotes their homemade. Hold on, let me get the fucking link right now. Either way, what they were doing, because
I hope you're not referring to DIYHRT.org, the site that formerly Keffels was partnered with. It would be a real shame if you were lying about that, and I could bring it up on stream and prove how wrong you are.
DIY was a site that was made for Keffels used she linked it, right? If you look at the exposed thing from Destiny, she linked screenshots.
Wait, what do you mean we looked at the exposed thing from Destiny? What do you mean? Who are you talking about? I didn't watch that.
Let me finish. She was DMing the link to that site to minors, to where minors could then buy the HRT with the parents' credit card or whatever, and then do it themselves, and then do a incomprehensible damage to their body.
Okay, wait a second. Hold on a second. There's a couple of things that just aren't adding up right now. It's a little bit weird. Because I'm on the DIY HRT wiki that you're talking about right here, and actually you can't buy anything on this website. In fact, this website.
You know why? They took it all down after they got exposed from the Destiny twitlonger.
Oh wait, really? So if I go and I look in the archive, you're telling me that I'll be able to find, like, I'll be able to buy things from here? Oh, by the way, I don't really, like, I'm just joking. I already know the answer. You're lying. The DIY HRT wiki has never sold anything. Ever. They have only ever been a harm reduction resource. They provide information on how to safely use these drugs if you make that decision, because their goal is not to encourage people to use DIY, but to let them do it safely. You ever heard of harm reduction? It's a literally worldwide recognized tactic. If people are going to do something on their own, if they're going to self-medicate, which some people have to because they have no other option, you should do it safely. It's interesting that you would lie and say that, first of all, I mean, you made a lot of claims. You claimed that Keffels was, like, DMing people and selling them drugs, but you don't have any evidence of that. I would love to see evidence of Keffels DMing people to buy drugs, but I know you don't have that. I know that evidence doesn't exist because that's not what happened. Wait, this is a fiction.
Whole video on it.
Wait, this is a fiction that you have made up. This is a fiction that or maybe you bought into it. I don't know. You don't really seem like you have quite the mental capacity to make it up yourself.
DMs don't lie. I heard freaking linking the site to her fans and stuff, telling the 17-year-old minors.
Wait. Hold on a second. Wait. You've changed your claim. It's interesting. You've changed your claim. Originally, you said that she was pushing illegal hormones to minors. Now you're saying that she shared a link to a harm reduction website to her followers.
Wait, what do you think that is?
Those are two very different things.
Wait, how's that different? If I were to link you a site that has child porn, and is that not me pushing child porn onto other people? What the fuck?
Yo, what the fuck are you talking about? Why are you talking about
child porn? It's the same fucking thing.
Bro, what are you talking about?
It's an analogy.
What the fuck is wrong with you? But what is that analogy? Why are you talking about sending child porn to people? Wait, real quick question. Quick question. Have you sent child porn to people before?
Okay, buddy, if you want to go with that, I mean, you can, but tread carefully because I do have money. If you do call me a pedophile, I'll fucking find your doc's information and sue your ass.
Well, that was an interesting change of pace. So are you saying you're I just wanted to get it clear.
Let's see if you
wait, let me just be clear. Wait, you just
threatened gonads to fucking do it and actually fucking slander me. And then have it recorded of all things, to have it in libel proof report.
Let me just get this clear. You just on video, let me just get your username here real quick. You, Dark Admiral 437, just publicly threatened to dox me.
No.
Well, that was easy. That was an interesting one. Yeah, he hung up or something, or he got banned from the Discord. I don't know. Yeah. There you go, everybody. The average trans genocide denier. By the way, this is the company that people who deny genocide keep, by the way. Yeah, he also never said no to his question, which, you know, just saying. Jesus Christ. Literally just yoinked. I'm gonna sue you. My dad will sue you. I'll use my nepotism hire. I'm rich. Damn. Damn. Just literally, did he ever say one thing that was true besides the fact that, like, when he self-admitted to being a Republican or whatever? Yikers. Well, yeah, and let's just, like, keep in mind, this guy, I never asked him a single thing. I just want this to go on the record. I never asked this motherfucker a single question about Destiny. I didn't ask him about anything. He volunteered all of that information. This is the unhinged groiper-ass people that hang out in that audience now. Yikes. Yeah, his dad works at Nintendo. Oh, he ran. He might have been telling the truth about doxing you? Okay, sure. Okay. Let's see. Let's see it. Maybe he's gonna try and dox me. No one has succeeded so far. I have a feeling that guy, again, like I said, just so you all know, his username was Dark Admiral 437, and no, he was not banned or disconnected. He ran. He ditched out, just so we know, just so that we're clear. He is still in my Discord. Well, he was. Now he's offline and gone, but yeah. I'll dox you. But do you see, by the way, do you see what goes on? Like, this is the norm for engagement with trans people on the internet. Yep. Well, that was really interesting. See, this is why I got to do more debates. Yeah, I asked him if he'd ever sent CP to people, and he just was like, Yeah, never said no, for the record. It would have been really easy. God, these people make me worried and sad. What a keyboard warrior? Damn, seriously. I'm amazed that guy decided to come in. Like, what the hell? You missed some stuff. What happened at the end? He threatened to dox me and sue me, and then he hung up and ran. His dad works at Nintendo. Yeah, totally. I wish I could say this guy was a C-Space too. Hey, Soma, it's great to see you. Hope you're doing well. It's great to see you. That was interesting. Wait, Windleby, J-Derv has been around recently. Notice how fast he went to equating trans people to child predators before immediately accidentally outing himself as someone who can't say no when asked if he sent child porn. Yeah. Yeah. Straight up, the biggest self-report you could possibly imagine. Whew. He said some pretty fucked up shit in Political. Do we want to go look and see what he was saying in Political? Is it deleted or is he still in here? No, he's still here. Oh yeah, he just says, "Oh, it's more important to care about the threat of potential nuclear war than trans people getting discriminated against." He was making jokes. He was getting super mad about comparing genocide, saying that all genocides have to be the Holocaust. Legit, Demon Mama is Keffel's 2.0. Oh, excellent. You missed something really spicy and stupid. Hey, Jimsy Donk. Well, welcome to the Imp chat. Happy to have you here. Yeah, we do occasionally do interesting debates. Am I a Vosh 4.0 or a Keffels 2.0? I'm the Demon Mama 1.0, the ultimate edition. Only ever needed one version. It's just, oof. Yeah, this person seems very fixated on Keffels, which is a little bit odd. Well, that was certainly interesting. That was certainly curious. Real quick, while we wait and see if there's anybody else who wants to debate or anything like that, I did want to talk about Twitter. Y'all want to talk about Twitter real quick? Because, oh my God, Twitter, guys, Twitter's on fire. Oh my God, Twitter's on fire right now. Have you guys seen this? Okay, so for those of you who don't know, as of this morning, it is October 28th, 2022. As of this morning, Elon Musk, the forever emerald mine heir, bullshit con artist, alleged con artist, union buster, and general piece of shit. War profiteer too. That's another one. Alleged war profiteer. Or at least I should say not alleged, aspiring war profiteer. Well, he bought Twitter. So he owns Twitter now, officially. Now it is Twitter is Elon Muskitter. Okay, but I want you to notice something very interesting, which is, first of all, that Elon Musk announced that there will be no major moderation actions or any changes to the moderation policy until he is able to call together a moderation council and discuss it. So, yeah. That's an interesting approach, is to have a great council and in the meantime basically take very little action. Now, they have discussed extensively reinstating formerly banned accounts, which means that it is likely that maybe ISIS will return to Twitter. It is certainly likely that Donald Trump will return to Twitter. We're likely to see a lot of, you know, formerly banned members return to Twitter. But you want to see what was really funny and also horrifying? Evidence suggests that bad actors are trying to test the limits on Twitter right now. Several posts on 4chan encourage users to amplify derogatory slurs. In addition, for example, over the last 12 hours, the use of the N-word has increased nearly 500% from the previous average. And here is a map of the use of the N-word on Twitter as it just skyrockets up. Unironically. Unfucking ironically. Many of you may have already noticed the incredible increase in severe violations of the former TOS, and I don't know what's going on inside the Twitter HQ. However, we have been informed by Elon Musk himself that he intends to lay off a significant amount of the staff at Twitter. So we're likely to have, at least for this foreseeable future, a skeleton crew on Twitter, which means there's going to be a lot of spam, a lot of racial slurs. There's going to be a lot of direct harassment, probably a lot of doxing. There's going to be a lot of laxity on the front of moderation on Twitter. And here's an example. Here's a really good one. So here's a blue check. Every abuse report I made on Twitter under its new leadership yesterday was rejected, saying that the accounts are not violating policy. 2 were aimed at black people, 1 was aimed at a Jewish person. Each of them explicitly used the most common slur used to target those groups. So this guy reported 2 tweets using the N-word directly at somebody, and 1 using the K-word for Jewish people. And they just weren't in violation of policy. Oof. Oof. Yikers. Now, of course, it's impossible to know the exact direction that Twitter, the exact direction which Twitter is going to take in the near future. However, keep in mind that Elon Musk has been very open about his desire to extremely highly monetize Twitter, which means that you are likely going to see a lot of porn bans on Twitter. Hate to tell you, but we might have to revise the IMP's code because creams might no longer be allowed on Twitter. I can't say that it's 100% guaranteed, but I would say the likelihood is, in my personal opinion, very high that we will see Twitter institute a porn ban of some sort. And the reason for that is because all of the major advertisers, all of the major payment processors are very, very reluctant to have their systems used for adult services. And with Elon Musk being so open about the fact that he wants to highly monetize Twitter, he wants Twitter to become much more profitable, it almost assures that he is going to take action to, interestingly, prohibit not racism, not hatred, not literal terrorism, but instead things that, payment processors don't like, advertisers don't like, things like porn and gay people, Insomnifax says, "Hi, Demon Mama. I'd love to talk about some of the similarities between the trans genocide and other genocides and how these similarities speak to how the U.S. government has been escalating towards this for some time." Yeah, I'd be open to that. Please DM me. Do you know how many porn artists have a main home on Twitter? Quite a lot. The porn ban is literally what killed Tumblr. Yes, well known that Tumblr functionally died because of that. And also, of course, as you can see from the current state of moderation on Twitter, that Twitter is already diving into the dumpster of racial slurs, death threats, doxing, hate speech, conspiracism, misinformation, and most of all, spam. Now both Twitter's former owner, Jack, and Twitter's current owner, Elon Musk, have expressed a desire to link Twitter to crypto. But given that crypto is basically imploding on itself right now, let me see if we can we get the year to date? Given that crypto is like dropping at a rapid pace, has literally like almost 1/3 of its value of earlier this year, maybe they're gonna forget about the whole crypto thing. But yeah. No, Atheist Mando, this would not be a good time. Please DM me. I'm sorry, I haven't gotten to that. Please DM me about that. I can't always promise that I'll be able to do a conversation off the cuff like that. But yeah, it's certainly a, I don't know. It's certainly going to be an interesting future. I will say one thing that's very, very interesting about Twitter belonging to Elon Musk is that if it starts to really suck, all of us are going to get to exist in the most shit posting possibly imaginable, which means that you will get to ride, downwards with the rest of the platform before comfortably jumping off and enjoying yourself on another platform, whatever comes afterwards. Yeah. I'm never making a fucking Twitter. Not a bad idea. Mastodon rise up. I'm not a big fan of Mastodon, honestly. I do have a co-host account. I don't know if anybody is on co-host, but I am the only, to my knowledge, I'm the only Demon Mama on co-host right now. So if you're on co-host, shoot me a follow. Because co-host is pretty cool, honestly, and it seems to work a lot better than Mastodon. Mastodon has some pretty major issues. Oh, thank you very much, RX Replicate. I appreciate that a lot. Yeah, it's likely to get pretty hilarious on this website, but unfortunately, the downside of website dying in this particular manner is that it usually isn't all that fun. When websites die like this, the quality of the post just declines until it becomes so boring that you never want to log in. You're likely to just see an overwhelming abundance of ads and spam clogging up your timeline. And yeah. Oh yeah, also stuff like this. This is the sort of trash that's, this is the sort of trash that's gonna be promoted on here. Matt Walsh just being like, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to start misgendering again. Which is hilarious because, Twitter never banned anybody for misgendering. How the hell would Twitter even do that? You can't, no one got banned for misgendering on Twitter ever, even before. These just, again, fragile babies pretending, but yeah. I don't think I can hate an online figure more. Oh yeah, by the way, Matt Walsh is hands down one of the most evil people currently active. The guy is constantly, he spends his entire life promoting dangerous, false conspiracy theories about trans people. He's currently going around the country to his thousands and thousands of followers on a speaking tour, doing rallies to end child mutilation, which is, of course, surprisingly has nothing to do with Christian parents getting their kids, circumcised, but instead has to do with his fantasy world version of of trans healthcare. Yep. Oh, of course he is. Lady Antifa says, I got here super late. Did people hear that Matt Walsh is going to UC Berkeley on November 17th? He's baiting another Milo shutdown, but yes, he will have Proud Boys, and I'm sure it will be very messy. I wish him I wish him a day. I hope he has a time. That's all I can say. I hope he has an interesting time. I would say a good day, but I don't want him to have a good day. I don't like him. What the hell? Oh God, yeah, oh yeah, there's a ton of people whose bans are getting overturned now. We're likely to see a lot of pretty shitty people back on the platform, which sucks. A good day, well, what is a good day for you and a good day for him? Yeah, I guess it depends. Hello, I have entered the Discord and I am in the call-in channel. Oh, well, we weren't really doing any call-ins right now. Insomnifax. I can't really, I wasn't really prepared to do another, like a friendly call-in right now or anything, but thanks. No, it's not a debate. It's, right? You wanted to just have a convo? No offense, I'm just, it's not a debate. I don't think it's a debate, is it? Did you want to debate me? I don't think it is. Maybe if it's a debate. I kind of feel the energy for a debate, but I don't really feel like having like a unprepared friendly convo. Oh, no, it's okay. Just shoot me a DM on Twitter usually is the easiest way. My DMs on Discord are unfortunately a little bit restricted because I get way too many DMs, but my Twitter DMs are fine. Twitter's gonna turn into the new 4chan? Yeah, probably. Most likely, yeah. Can I DM you? If you want to, I guess. I won't necessarily respond to it, but thanks. If it's nice, I guess. Sure. Sure. I'm okay with that. Okay. All right, cool. Okay, cool. I will respond to your DM when I can. I'm getting a little tired, honestly. The beginning of the I was putting together this document all day today, and then I did this stream, and this stream took a lot of energy out of me. But I don't know. I have a couple other things. Moist Critical made an iffy take on Twitter or Elon. That's funny. I don't know what his take was. Oh, thank you, Insomnifax. I will respond to it as soon as I can. Thank you. Did I see the tech-led Kanye video? I haven't. Oh, no worries. That's totally fine, Renophilia. No big deal. No harm, no foul. What's your suggestion for a Twitter alternative? I don't think there is a Twitter alternative right now. I think that most people are just gonna move to Discord. Discord seems like the obvious heir to Twitter's users. It's the closest thing. On Discord, if you're in like a Discord that you enjoy, you can shitpost exactly like you would on Twitter. So yeah, I think that Discord will probably be the alternative. I don't really think. I don't know why you wouldn't be able to send DMs to me, RX Replicate. That I don't know what to say. On Twitter, it's not on. I just explained. Oh my God, listen for a second. I just explained. You can't. My DMs are closed on Discord because people fucking spam me all the time. You guys have no idea how much fucking Discord spam I get if I leave my things open. It's so fucking annoying. No offense, but Jesus. It's kind of scary considering how isolated servers on Discord are. Yeah. I'm literally only on Twitter because I'm a content creator and it's a way to get in touch with other trans people and creators. Yeah. Twitter has very niche uses and most of it is a waste of time. Yeah, but you send me yeah, but I allowed those. So whatever. Oh yeah, I think I watched some of Chariot's video. It was pretty good. Okay, please do, Atheist Mando. I'll do what I can. I can't make any promises. Like I said, I stream more than I stream for longer than I should, etc. There was another thing I wanted to talk about. Fuck. I wish there's. Oh yeah. Oh yes, everyone. There's a discourse we have to do. Okay. I forgot. I have been requested to commentate on a discourse, so this will be a little bonus for all of you who've stuck through for this. We have to talk about what is it called? AFAB trans women, okay? AFAB trans women. Oh, hell yeah, that's right, everybody. You may have heard of the hot new term that everybody's been talking about, the assigned female at birth trans woman. And at first, many of you will probably say, wait a minute, wait a second, hold on a second, how does that work? And, well, actually, it's really funny, but literally on Twitter right now, AFAB is currently trending, which is a little bit concerning. Yeah, that's a little bit, okay, I don't really know why that's the case. But that does make me worried, but nonetheless, I wanted to talk about that. Let me just bring up the one that everybody's been talking about, which is, oh no, where is it here? Oh no, where is it here? Hold on, I think it's the LGBTQ. Here we go. Hold on. I want to try and find this one real quick. I want to find the original post before I go too hard on this. I don't know where it is. If anybody has the link that everybody was pulling off of, I'm sorry, I was not prepared for this. All right, let's start again. This is the real beginning of the segment. My lovely imps, you may or may not have heard of a term going around, the AFAB trans woman, assigned female at birth trans woman. Now, some of you may hear that and go, well, that seems a little bit confusing. If you were assigned female at birth, why would you need to be a trans woman? And I will admit, I think the term is a little bit silly, okay? It's a little bit silly of a term, just because I don't know how helpful it is, really, or how useful it is. However, some people have sort of used this terminology as like a sign, you know? They're like, it's an omen. It shows that the end has come, that we've reached the logical endpoint of identity politics, and oh, they just make anything into an identity these days. And the answer is they've made everything into an identity forever. Do you guys remember when like, tons and tons of grown adults identified as Xbox fans and PlayStation fans? Well, as it turns out, humans turn everything into an identity anyway, and gendered people of any type of gender, whether cis or non or trans, or non-gendered or agendered, all those types of people also do that because they're humans. That's what humans do. However, I felt that I should weigh in a little bit on my thoughts about things like the AFAB trans woman. Now, while I admit that the like what that actually means for a lot of people probably varies pretty significantly, if I was to be in good faith, I imagine that there are certainly some people who were assigned female at birth, but are non-binary, but still strongly identify with certain aspects of womanhood and femininity, despite not actually like identifying particularly strongly with their with the gender that they were assigned at birth. And I do think that by many definitions that could by many definitions that could fit the definition of an AFAB trans woman. And as you all know, I tend to take a particularly liberational or libertarian, if you want to, view on gender in general. I am a gender ascensionist, which is a term that refers to us into a belief that aims to move us beyond talking about and fixating on gender. And the reason why I'm a gender ascensionist is because I think gender is, by and large, incoherent and mostly harmful. What I mean by that is that no matter, like, okay, our society is obsessed with gender. Our society is obsessed with gender for historical reasons. The Bible was incredibly obsessed with gender roles, which were based on sex. Societies that were influenced by the Bible and the Christian church were heavily influenced therefore, as a result of gender roles and of roles based on sex, women are supposed to do these things, men are supposed to do these things, this is what a man is, this is what a woman is, etc., etc. And of course, interestingly, the definitions are all over the place as for how you are supposed to identify what a man or a woman is. And also, they're binary. They allege that there are basically only two ways to express yourself, man and woman, and that those are mutually exclusive. And of course, that's totally arbitrary. But our society is nonetheless, for, like I said, a bunch of historical reasons, obsessed with gender. But does it really benefit us at all? Like at all? What do we gain from fixating on gender as a whole? What do we gain from pretending that that there is a single way to be a man, that there is a single way to be a woman, or that there is a single way to have XX or XY chromosomes? See, that's the really weird part, is that at the end of the day, the way that we look at gender intrinsically leads us to make certain ties to, well, not all of us, but many of us, the way our society looks at gender intrinsically makes ties to sex which are blatantly and provably false. Not all people with XY chromosomes act a certain way. Not all people with XX chromosomes act a certain way. And a lot of people have different sets of sex chromosomes because intersex people exist to varying degrees. So being a gender essentialist means looking at this and acknowledging that gender mainly serves, in its current form especially, but mainly serves to restrict us. It mainly serves to give us false information about expression, false information about our bodies, false information about the way that people are supposed to be and the way that they're supposed to be, and it only hurts us. So when I say I'm like a gender essentialist, or that I'm very libertarian when it comes to gender, it means that I don't put a lot of stock into strict definitions of gender. In fact, I think that they're largely only harmful. And as a result, I tend to take an approach of self-identity. If you say your gender is X thing, then your gender is that thing. Because after all, gender is just a form of expression. It doesn't really have any other coherent definition. Women dress all kinds of ways and do all kinds of different things in their lives, have all kinds of different opinions, and have all kinds of different types of personal expressions. Likewise for men. Likewise for the thousands of types of non-binary identities that there are. So, while I do think that a term like an AFAB trans woman might be a little bit silly just because it sounds almost contradictory, I also don't really care all that much. It doesn't really bother me. I don't really give a shit. If that's what you consider yourself, good for you. That's fine for you. I don't really care. Like, if you're an asshole about it, well, then that applies to anybody. Anybody who's an asshole about any identity is an asshole about their identity. I don't really care. I don't think it really hurts anybody either, because when you say you're a woman, saying you're a woman is no matter who you are, whether you're cis or trans, is an absurd claim. Being a woman is only a matter of self-identity. There is no hard definition of what a woman is. Woman means something different to everybody. So if an AFAB person understands themselves as a woman or as a type of trans woman because they're publicly non-binary or whatever, I don't care. Why should I care? Why should you care? Nobody should care. It doesn't matter. So at the end of the day, stop being so obsessed with people's personal identities because it's not going to hurt you at all, and you really, really shouldn't obsess over it. It's that simple. Yes, is it a little silly? Sure, there are all kinds of silly identities. And trust me, there are way more silly identities than an AFAB trans woman. Like I said, there are and were grown adults who identify very strongly with being a Halo fan, which to me seems like an incredibly silly thing to identify in. Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah, it's that simple. It really is that simple. I don't really care what people, how people formulate their gender. I think there's a lot of ways that people can think about gender. For example, we've talked on this channel many times about various types of xenogender identity, identities of or types of gender expression or ways of describing your gender presentation that don't actually have to do with traditionally understood human genders. So, for example, some people might take on the like a dog gender or a pup gender or something like that. And usually, the reason why they do something like that is because they acknowledge that gender is kind of a goofy catch-all term that to some people means how you dress, that to some people it means what your sex is, that to some people it means what you're supposed to do with the rest of your life. Those people acknowledge that it's a bullshit thing, and then they say, well, if it's about expression, which it is, then here's how I express. You could best understand me as dog-like. It's that simple. It's actually, interestingly, just for the record, Doe does not identify strongly with the xenogender category, or at least Doe does not describe itself as a xenogender, though I think a lot of people would see similarities between people who do use the term xenogender. And I think that you could probably argue that that's a categorization that fits, but you know. So yeah, the long and short of it is gender is a very, very, very flimsy concept that largely what people are talking about, by and large, what people are talking about when they're talking about gender is expression, and expression is all over the place. And if people want to characterize their expression one way or another, we should support them in that. We should be supportive and okay with that, because guess what? You do it too. I guarantee every single person watching this video, whether you're trans, cis, whether you're the most stereotypical cis male, dude, guy, dude gender, I guarantee you have some weird aspects of your identity that other people could judge if they want to, but they shouldn't. I mean, unless it's like harming other people. Jessica Metal says, Vosh was somewhat correct about Doe in that it's using its own identity to challenge people's mainstream thoughts and ideas of gender, which is based. And I would say yes and no. I think that the position that Doe has is basically that everyone's identity is engaging in this whole back and forth, and therefore everyone does that. Anytime you make a declaration of your gender or your identity, you're staking a claim of who you are, and therefore why shouldn't you be able to say that your expression is like that of a deer, or is like that of a cow, or like that of a dog? Is Vosh gay? Oh my God, he's gay? Why didn't you fucking tell me? Oh, hi. What's this? Food? Where are we ordering from?
Mexican.
Oh my God, this looks good. Mexican food? Well, I was about to wrap up. Wait, oh, we've been here before. Oh my God, wait, do they have, hold on, I want to see if they got they have tamales? I want tamales if they do. Oh, I had a debate with a Nazi.
I listened to it.
I mean, a Nazi.
I listened to it.
Definitely not a Nazi. He was a DGGer, though. We know that much for sure. He literally self-identified as that. He was like, well, we've all seen Destiny's Manifesto. I'm like, no, some of us don't give a shit. You couldn't pay me to watch that fucking garbage. Seriously, I'm not kidding you. I'm aware that the manifestos occurred, but I literally didn't watch them, and I won't. Fuck that trash. Sorry, I'm like scrolling through my food here on stream, but whatever. If Hassan can do it, so can I. Do they really not have that? Oh no, is this a different place than I thought? You playing piano? I don't even think they can hear that. They might only be able to hear it when I'm talking. Oh, here's the tamales. Wait, why? Wait a minute. I knew we ordered at this place before. Why is there not the tamale combo? Oh. Ah, here it is. Ba da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. That's how it works. God damn it, you stopped it right at the best part. All right, there we go. I got mine in there. Thank you. I'll be down soon. Don't worry. Thank you. I love you. No, I can't ask Doe that. Sorry, Doe's gone. Doe can play a lot of piano. Doe is very good at piano, actually. Doe has a couple of favorite songs, including that Bo Burnham song I was just humming. Da 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 da. I wish I will fix it in the future. In the near future, I will fix it so that you'll be able to hear the piano, and then we'll play and sing together, and it will be very, very nice. Some hopium to end with. Wait, this clip from Legal Eagle just sent me. Let's see. Let's take a look.
Thanks to Ron DeSantis, the immigrants that he sent to Martha's Vineyard may be staying in the US for good. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis made headlines for chartering a flight from Texas to Massachusetts in order to dump 50 asylum seekers in Martha's Vineyard as a political stunt. This may all have backfired because the Bexar County
Literally, by the way, literally human trafficking. Just keep in mind, this is the same guy that we were just talking about who was in charge of pushing all of the Florida anti-trans legislation. Same guy literally did human trafficking for a fucking stunt, unironically. Let's continue.
Sheriff Javier Salazar said that the DeSantis migrants were victims of a crime. People who are crime victims or witnesses to a crime are eligible for something called a U visa, which allows them to remain in the US. Congress created the U visa with the passage of the Victims of Trafficking and Violence Protection Act. Immigrants who are willing to help law enforcement authorities
he literally is going to give them citizenship because he human trafficked them. Holy fuck.
in the investigation or prosecution of the criminal activity could eventually get a green card. He signed the certification forms for all the migrants saying that they were transported under false pretenses, which is the crime of unlawful restraint. Under Texas Penal Code section 20.02, a person commits an offense if he intentionally or knowingly restrains another person. Unlawful restraint can be a Class A misdemeanor, state jail felony, or third-degree felony depending on the nature of the offense. So way to go, Ron. Thanks to Ron DeSantis, the immigrants that he sent to Martha's Vineyard may be staying in the US for good. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis made headlines for chartering a flight.
Oh, it replayed. Damn, that's a damn nice one, fuckhead. When you try to human traffic people as a part of your political stunt. Just remember, guys, Ron DeSantis is one of the most popular Republicans right now. He is the second most popular behind Donald Trump for the next Republican candidate. This guy trafficked real human beings. He lied to and deceived real human beings to try and own the Democrats. Just keep in mind, this is the type of person who is going to be who is currently spearheading the ongoing genocide against trans people in America. Fuck Ron DeSantis, and also I hope every single one of these people he victimized gets the justice to the full extent of the law. I would love it if Ron DeSantis could become imprisoned for human trafficking. That would be absolutely amazing. Yep. Fuck Ron DeSantis. Oh. Yeah, John Brown is based. I agree. I do agree. I should honestly do a segment, a history mama on John Brown. That would be really good. God, I have so much stuff to work on. All right, everybody. My lovely, lovely imps, the time has come for me to zip off the stream at this point. I know that it's a slightly shorter stream than usual, but I have been making a concerted effort to do slightly shorter streams just because I don't want to re-agitate my back, and I can feel my back hurting because I was driving a whole bunch yesterday as well. So remember, tomorrow I'm going to have this video out. I would deeply appreciate if all of you could comment, like, boost the video in the algorithm, and maybe consider sending it to someone if you happen to know somebody who is in denial about the ongoing trans genocide. I really, really, really want us to get this out there. So keep your eyes peeled. And I will be back streaming again very soon for all of you because I have a lot of stuff I want to do. I do want to get to some gaming. We haven't done gaming in a long time. But thank you all for supporting me tonight. Thank you all for being here. And remember, much, much love, and do not fucking die. Thank you all very much. Mwah, and I will see you very soon. Good night for now.